But I did bring my koozie today, Mara. My Gettysburg koozie.
Nice.
I forget. You always have the koozie. I always forget to bring mine, and then but today I remembered. Pepperidge
Ooh,
Farm remembers. I remember that commercial.
I don't remember that commercial. Oh God, for
It was
some
an old.
reason
It's
you gotta take
it's, an, it's an old New England cookie company here. It was this old guy
Oh,
who used to always
Pepperidge
go,
Farms.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. He talked like an
Okay,
old
yep, I know what
Mainer.
you're talking about now.
You're just full of shit, but anyway.
No, but Pepperidge Farms. I know what you're fucking talking about, douchebag.
Oh, so still testy, huh?
I had to take us back into the live because it timed out.
Oh, it's okay.
So,
It's okay.
this is World Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I'm drinking pretty much all IPAs now. This will be a freaking one. This will be something.
I've got sours.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how this day goes. Usually, we'll see what time your messages stop at some point. 9 o'clock off the planet again.
Fucker.
The 1 week anniversary of Mary went in the ditch.
Jesus. God. At least I didn't go in a ditch, literally.
Well, I'm kind of glad you didn't. Yeah, obviously. You know, although sometimes I wonder.
One day, Darren, there will be a day when it happens.
It'll be a day. Oh, and I'm sure you'll be so understanding about that completely. Oh, it's totally okay. It's totally okay, Darren. Don't you worry about it. Right? That's how it's going to be. Right? Exactly. No reason to apologize. It's totally cool.
But
it's
then it'll turn into like, you fucker.
Oh yeah, because I'm mild mannered and I've got it totally under control. How come I can't see a split screen with this thing? Facebook's been acting weird lately. But that's how it'll go. So.
Oh, you know why you can't? Because of the view that there we go. Is that better?
No, it just shows me. It shows like when I talk, it shows me. When you talk, it shows you.
Oh, weird. That's really weird.
Who the fuck knows?
Oh, there. It's back now. Hey, Mark.
There it
hey,
is.
Barbara. Hey, Roger.
Hey, Raj.
Hey,
Good morning from St. Augustine. Roger, your text message a few minutes ago. I assumed you were in St. Augustine, but I couldn't tell. I figured you probably went there for Christmas. So glad you got out of Ohio and got down there.
Hey, Jacob.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Merry Christmas, et cetera, as we sit here.
Thank you, Evan. Happy Boxing Day.
Yes, Mary. Happy Boxing Day. I was gonna say that, but I didn't forget about it. But I just slipped my mind.
Our brigade commander wished me a happy Boxing Day.
He did. He certainly did.
Al, look at the new flag. Fancy. Yes. Did you see the flag? You see the flag?
You know what? I just got to do this. I'm not going to point. I'm just going to do like this now.
You wait. I'm going to do.
Do you remember the time when you said that you thought it was kind of bullshit and have flags? Remember that? On social media, you were social shaming me for flags.
Oh, Jen says, this is the place where we get to talk about those undulations. No, this is.
Oh, look at you. Wow. There's the proof of no Santa Claus right there. Oh, hey, Jen. Thanks for throwing that fastball in the middle to her. Well, I'll dose you. Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. I guess it's going to be one of those days. But good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Jim. What's going on?
Liza.
Jim, I was thinking of you yesterday. Unfortunately, with the news out of Nashville. Hope everything's okay down there. God, that was something yesterday. Jeez.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, but happy holidays, Merry Christmas, et cetera, happy whatever it is for everybody, whatever you're celebrating today, and Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
I know Santa probably treated you pretty well. Probably, who knows?
Santa gave me a hockey jersey.
There you go. You certainly got you certainly have your Christmas Yuletide joy ish, I guess. That's fine. Yeah, but anyway, so good morning to everybody. It's gonna settle down here. But yeah, it was a good Christmas. It was good. It didn't go anywhere with COVID and stuff. And it was hurricane basically. It was 65 degrees and 100-mile-an-hour winds here yesterday.
Yeah, we had snow squalls all day here. It was crazy.
Well, I mean, I would like some snow. I would like the snow for our Christmas time, to be honest. But
Come to Huron County.
Yeah, because that's what I want is more snow. Exactly. I'm not complaining about the no snow. What I'm complaining about, well, it would have been nice on Christmas.
You were kind of bitching about it. You're like, I want snow, but then I said come to Canada, and you're like, no, I don't want snow.
Wow, look at you coming in hot, huh? Jesus Christ. All that coal you got has certainly heated you up.
It is,
You got yesterday, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, anyway, so I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Everybody enjoying a good weekend. Hopefully had a safe one, et cetera, et cetera. So, so we had fun with the podcast. We had fun with Sherman's March of the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a good time. It's always fun doing that, just because the stupid shit we come up with. But it's
this one especially was poor Savannah, the back door.
Yeah, geez, that was one of those things. But yeah, that was definitely one of those things. But it was fun though. It's fun doing that. I think that I don't think you can properly tell the story of the American Civil War without the March to the Sea. And I don't want to say it's overrated. Because you made a good point when you said it was just a change of bases, which it was, right?
Yeah.
And the war was basically over, but I think the March to the Sea has always been that finale, that slam dunk spike in the ball moment.
Yeah, it has. And I mean, like Sherman, that's what he wrote in his memoirs about it, was that he just saw it as a change of operations, but he saw like the Carolinas campaign as being far more important. Like, I mean, they're still marching, but he knew that was when it was going to get really serious. But, you know, in his memoirs, he's almost like, you know, he's writing this like however many years after the march. And he's talking about how like historical memory has started to play into the march, that it's this huge thing. And he didn't see it as being that at the time. He saw the Carolinas campaign as being more important. And he wanted people to remember more about that than the March to the Sea.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, is that since that historical memory is what's getting you. Yeah. Hey, Allie, R.I.P. Savannah. Yeah.
Poor Savannah.
Little to realize that she got Jenny weighted, unfortunately, you know. But sorry if that's too soon.
Hey, I even made one of these.
Poor Savannah. I'm going to take you all day to write that. Your artistic skills are fantastic. Yeah, definitely.
Fucker.
Okay. Well, good morning. Merry Christmas, man. Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic that you your holiday cheer already. So yeah, but that was a good one. I enjoyed that. And it was nice the way we did the two-parter thing. Because it was very, very timely, I thought, you know.
Yes, and what did you say about that? It was a good idea that I had?
I don't remember saying that. It was absolutely not.
Anybody that has listened to the podcast knows that's what you said. So I left it in there for that reason. It's evident.
Oh, she must have photo dubbed us. Yeah, I know what she did. No, I did. You know, you did do a good job with that. I did. You did do a good job with that. But it was good though. It was good. It was a nice idea. So anyway, so yeah, weather has been messed up here, but it looks like it's gonna be a halfway decent day.
Yeah, same here. Jacob said the Carolinas have always been more important than Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely it was.
Yeah, that's how Sherman saw it. But the historical memory seemed like, I mean, if you say March to the Sea, like that's probably more familiar than the Carolinas campaign, I think, for people. Yet Sherman saw it as the other way around. You know.
But you know what? Though, it's funny though, because you know Sherman talked about how he just wanted to, you know, basically a change of location, connect with the water to get to the Navy. But doesn't that contradict the whole "I'm going to make Georgia howl" quote?
It does. Yeah, I was thinking I was thinking about that when we were listening to the episode this morning. I'm like, what is he fucking getting at in his memoirs with this? Like, he's at Grant and Lincoln about like, I can make this march and make Georgia howl, blah blah blah, and you know, and then at the end of it, he's like, it was a change of like, you know, a change of base, almost like playing it.
See, I looked at a lot of the memoirs as we prepared for this podcast, and some of the stuff he says, I hadn't read Sherman's memoirs, admittedly, probably like 5 years.
Yeah.
But when you read that, looking for specific things, how full of shit he is.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you read Howard's account of it, and Howard's having to come in there and say like, I actually took McAllister.
And we talk about the memoirs of basically it's your own personal victory lap. And like when I write my memoirs, it's trust me, I'll be doing this podcast alone in my memoirs. You'll see, right? I'm just kidding. But when you write the memoirs though, when you read them, you realize just historically how, and you wonder, like, do you think like he really knew, or do you think he was just so delusional that that's what he really thought, right? Like, because the part when he was talking about Ebenezer Creek with Stanton coming down, where on one page he's talking about how he's pissed because Stanton is falling into the Republican radical anti-slavery people, and he's believing politics more than reality. But then he talks to his wife. He mentions that he tells his wife about how, basically Stanton now he's on page, he's on board with everything. It's like, well, what the fuck? It's like, well, pick, it's just fun to do.
He does the back and forth so much, as you said, it's like, make Georgia howl. It was a change of operations. Like, he does that a lot, and he does make himself, look better. And the one thing he says so he wrote 2 versions of his memoirs. The first one he wrote, he got so much shit for it that he went back and he rewrote the introduction, and he added in a couple things, but in the introduction, he said, look, there can be 100 people in the same room and they will all tell a different story. And he basically told everybody to shut the fuck up who was criticizing him. Like, I guess he got criticized by Beauregard and a few other people. And I'm assuming he was throwing a little bit of shade. Well, now Howard wrote his memoirs after Sherman had passed away. I think he wrote them in the early 1900s. So he wasn't saying anything about Howard, but
it's hard to type with one hand, Mary. I mean, you give Howard credit. Of course, it's going to take a lot longer. Let's have a little respect here.
Single-handedly takes
for my boy, Howard. Okay, but though we talked about this before, you can't write your memoirs and promote yourself without putting somebody else down. You can't. It's just impossible, because there's going to be an antagonist in everything you do, and that's where Chamberlain got all that trouble. Speaking of Chamberlain, Mary, you see the flag? 20th Maine flag, which is not as good as the 16th, as you can tell. You know how hard it was to find that flag on eBay with the 16th is greater? I see your post. That's, you're going to see when Pike gets on, you can tell it's not Lincoln.
Yeah. That's right. I guess it sort of does. I don't know. Jacob says, with that quote, why not go straight to Wilmington and take it, connect with the Navy there? Sometimes Sherman is a master bullshitter. No,
but I think he had to connect with the Navy in Savannah because of the supplies, though.
That's why.
But he's right though, Jake. I mean, I think he didn't know what was waiting for him in South Carolina. But he also, these dudes were eating, rice nonstop.
Yeah.
By the time they got there, and we talked a lot about that. But that's kind of how that is. So.
Well, like you're saying in the episode, like the land shock, as you called it, which cuts its way through Georgia, like he's going by the census records of the richest agricultural areas. And he knows at a certain point, it's not going to be as rich in agriculture because it's getting later in the season, but also because the soil's getting sandier. And that's when they're living off the rice. But he's so close to Savannah at that point that, he's not as worried about it because he figures he can,
Chris,
most of the way.
So, Chris, 143rd Pennsylvania flag. That's good. Oh, Chris, by the way, congratulations on your engagement, man. Saw your big news.
Congratulations.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to be drinking a treehouse in your honor today.
Yes.
Sucker.
Cheers to that.
Anyway, congratulations. That's great news. I was happy to see that. So,
Allie B said, I remember a letter when Grant was saying to Sherman that Sherman was too hard on Burnside in his memoirs, which I found really funny.
No, but I mean, it's the memoirs are fun, and we mentioned this before. I mean, for all the books, and we'll talk about books here in a little while, but of all the books we talk about, the memoirs are still the best to read because I mean, you can read Passing of the Armies by Chamberlain, and it'll make your head hurt. A lot of 4-letter words, Mary, so there's no pictures for it. You have a tough time reading that one, admittedly. But if you read Sherman, if you read, Lee never did memoirs, unfortunately, but Longstreet's memoirs was like that too. You read this, and you can read 2 sets of memoirs. You can read Sherman and Grant, and you wouldn't think they even knew each other. That's the funny part about it.
Yeah.
Is Grant will say A, Sherman will say B, but somehow they'll get to C together somehow. But it's just obviously they're doing it to promote themselves. But it is funny how they're basically like, fuck Grant.
Well,
blah, 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 blah.
Well, Sherman is right, though, that you can have 100 people in the same room and they're all going to tell a different story, right? Like there's so many different versions of what happened. And like, I know in Southern Storm, like Trudeau kind of like, he throws Howard under the bus saying like, Howard was trying to take too much credit. Meanwhile, Howard's in his memoir saying like, this is the order I wrote.
Yeah.
Like, and Howard's account is going to be different than Sherman's of the March to the Sea. It's kind of like you look at the Vicksburg campaign and Sherman and Grant kind of write 2 different things. The only time I think they get on the same page is Chattanooga with Lookout Mountain.
Well, they had to.
Yeah, I think that was a scheming thing. That was you got to say the same thing.
Because they wanted to fuck Hooker. That's why. right? Hey, Mike. Hello from Arlington, Virginia.
Mike.
Arlington, Virginia. We talked about Mercy Street last time. Mary, remember?
Yep.
And that's where that show was supposed to take place in Mercy Street. That TV show. I think of Arlington, Virginia. I always think of the cemetery in Mercy Street. And actually, you know what? No, I'm wrong. It was Alexandria, Virginia, where Mercy Street was.
Yeah.
And I always confuse the two cities. So that speaking of memoirs, Mary, when I read my memoirs, Mercy Street's going to be in Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah.
Long.
When I write mine,
anyway.
when I might write mine, it's going to be hypocritical against yours.
Oh God! Imagine yours. You'll have one of those E next to it, one of those explicit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Dedicate it to fucker.
Please do PH though. It sounds more classy.
I'll call you Shimble Fucker.
Shimble Fucker. Jeez.
Hey, Leonard.
What's going on, Leonard Curtis? What's up, my man? Hope you had a good Christmas. Everybody had a good Christmas. That was a nice day yesterday. It was for the most part. It was nice to didn't do any family stuff or anything. Just here, so whatever. But it was a nice day, and what's great about it is back-to-back long weekends.
Yep, exactly.
Because next weekend is New Year. It's New Year in Canada next week too, right?
No, we're a week behind you guys because
you guys are because you're on the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah, exactly.
but it is nice to do that. That's what sucks about 2020. One of the things was this would have been the greatest year for holidays. You had Halloween on a Saturday. You had you had all these things. There's so many shenanigans there. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. But
yeah, no, it hasn't been like. I mean, it's been like a weird year and like not overly positive. But there's little things that I can take away from it that I'm gonna look back like probably with more happiness than, like, well, that sucked kind of thing. Like it sucks I can't travel, but
you'll always have that victory lap about the Sherman podcast, like you just took. You'll always have that.
Yeah,
you'll always. The victory lap you did about the good idea I said you had about that.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I'm writing my memoirs.
It's probably the cover of the book. So yeah. Also, I got to finish the knockabout. Christmas beer, I got to finish these up too. Oh, hey, Amelia. Definitely. Yeah, 2020 is a real fucker here. Yeah, it certainly was the year of the fucker. That's what the Chinese are going to call it, Mary. The year of the fucker, 2020.
The year of the fucker. Be a picture of you.
Oh yeah, so, Chris, today's your birthday too. I didn't see that. Oh, happy birthday, man. Yeah,
happy birthday.
I gotta find a way to get you some treehouse, Chris. You've been a good dude. You've been asking for it for a while, so I gotta find a way to get some of that.
So I need some treehouse.
Yeah, you do. But this treehouse, I'm telling you, it's best beer in the world. Best beer in the goddamn world. But yeah, they had that on the March of the C, Mary. It would have got there a lot quicker. Yeah. But like I said, it would have been the March of the P, like we talked about, because they would have to go every 5 minutes. That's what this thing does for you. That's very heavy.
That's wonderful. That's good to know. Good to know.
There's always plenty of places to stop and go on those roads.
Did you have a new flag today?
Yeah, it's right there. I told you. I got the 20th main flag. And I got the 16th is great, because anybody who knows that. Treehouse is amazing. Absolutely.
I was wondering why you had to go buy tape the other day when you were like, have to go buy tape. I'm like,
what are you talking about? That's the official flag. It may look like
if Heckman comes on here and sees that, you're going to be his hero for life now.
It may look like duct tape, but that's the old-timey soldiers. That's the best they had. They had to use duct tape. Could you imagine flying that in battle? If Tilden had that for his flag, 16th is great in the 20th and walking across. Oh my God! You know what? That's why you tore the flags up, because you don't want to lose it. That's what I totally would have done.
Leonard, while we were passing through Georgia.
Well, that would have changed. The words of that song would have been different.
That's one thing we did not talk about is that song. That's one of the things that came out of the march. Is that song? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Obviously, I mean,
which Sherman hated that song because it got played so much at reunions. When I was
in Atlanta for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, that song was humming the entire time.
Oh, I
Mary, you should have seen what a dick I was with that. I had so much fun with the Sherman thing in Atlanta. Just walking around Kennesaw Mountain with my Sherman T-shirt, my Union Kepi hat on, and just humming, and there was only one person at Kennesaw who gave me shit. And then there was a couple of people in bars that were that gave me shit. But for the most part, my the Patriots Super Bowl Atlanta one I got more crap for that one.
I sort of got, like, when I was in Chattanooga about a year and a half ago, so I wore my shirt, I've got a Sherman shirt and a Thomas shirt that I always wear when I go to that battlefield and to Lookout Mountain and all that. Well, the first day we went to see the Claiborne statue. And I deliberately wore my Sherman shirt, and I was standing at the statue like this, and I'm like taking a picture with the two of them because then they did not like each other. But then I went to a winery after in Georgia, and I'm wearing this Sherman shirt, and I thought I would take a little bit of shit for it, but I didn't. There was one bartender that he was like, I went up to order more wine, and he was like, you know, and that was also the time that one of the people working at Chickamauga point blank said to me, "You do realize he was a murderer, right?" And I'm like, not going to engage.
Speaking to you with the pictures of statues, man, I saw a picture you recently with that cannon a couple of days ago, and the reason why that bartender didn't say anything is you couldn't see you standing over the bar. That's why I didn't see you.
Yeah, because when I stand at the counter, I have to go like that.
Excuse me. All I see is your glasses bobbing up and down as you're jumping up. But as your Chickamauga Rock T-shirt, because he's always been the Chickamauga Rock from now on.
Chickamauga Rock.
You know,
Christopher said sometimes had an issue. Said that Sherman is still a dirty word in Georgia.
Of course he is. Yeah. Anybody who's been in Atlanta. I mean, actually, Atlanta's a cosmopolitan city. I told you. I think I said on one of these. We were there, and I was sitting at the bar, and we were talking to this one bartender. He was giving me shit for the Sherman T-shirt because wearing a Sherman T-shirt in a bar in Atlanta just to be an asshole, Mary. That's 100% why. But after you give me shit for it, and I asked him, I said, because Atlanta, if you've been to Atlanta, it's a beautiful, brand new looking city, right? Yeah. It's like Dallas, right? And when I asked him, I go, for an old city, it looks brand new. And he's like, well, you assholes burned it. We have to rebuild the whole goddamn thing,
Only 30%.
But don't you know this whole historical memory thing? I mean, don't you know in Georgia that Sherman, he ate children and he all the stuff he did. He burned every building in the entire state of Georgia.
Exactly. Every single the state is still on fire.
It's still smoking. The tire fire is still going, actually.
Exactly.
But
hey, Allie K.
Yeah. Well, they show the Atlanta Falcons. They imploded their old stadium, the Dome.
Yeah.
Sherman did that.
He
blamed him for that.
Did you know that the Calgary Flames were once the Atlanta Flames? And that's
really?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, when they were first formed, they were the Atlanta Flames, and that name, it was straight from Sherman. But then obviously now they're the Calgary Flames.
Did you know that George Washington was the first president of the U.S.? Yes, everybody knows that story. But you know what, though? Rolling Hills Road. But the Atlanta Station, there was a cool name they did that. You know what the other professional sports team is in hockey that's named after Civil War, a Union guy? Mary?
Columbus Blue Jackets.
Columbus Blue Jackets, you got it, right? Which is pretty cool. And I didn't realize that. Look at you. All the words you even spelled right. But I didn't realize that right away. I didn't know what the hell it was until I saw the logo. They had a really cool cannon logo. Oh, it's Civil War cannon. That's what Blue Jackets is. But yeah, Atlanta Flames is a great name. I mean, they voted for that. They liked that. So it's funny how they embrace certain things, though.
Yeah, then there was the T-shirt that came out around the time of the Olympics, and it's since made a resurgence again. Sherman, Atlanta's original torchbearer.
Yeah. No, Chris, you're right. Tom Brady is the new Sherman. When I was there for that game, I have a T-shirt. It's that Atlanta 28, New England 3 scoreboard picture, and I got way more shit for that. I mean, oh my God, that is so cold, But they hate the Patriots down there. I mean, God, they're probably enjoying their year off.
Yeah, someone made a comment. Christopher said Tom Brady is the new Sherman. He burns them every time they think they're going to win. Leonard said Sherman pissed on the other 70%, so they had to tear it down too.
That's why it didn't burn, because it was wet. That's why it's the March of the P, Mary. But the Pats, they'll be next year. They'll be back in the Super Bowl hunt again, or whatever. But anyway, but it is funny though, and anybody who's been down to that part of the country, and especially if you go more towards, if you go to Kennesaw and you talk to some of the people out there, which is where we stayed. They look at Sherman, they beat him there, so they're proud of that. They talk about, this is where he took an L here. Your boy took an L. I'm like, okay, but then I go, what happens when he crossed the Chattahoochee?
Look at you with the big words. Right?
You know where I get the inspiration? Flags. But it's funny how God. But that's the mindset though, is people are different. And you can tell who knows what. There are some people, because I told you, I've run into people when I was there who were legitimately like still like they have this perception that Sherman burned everything down there and they killed everybody, and it's just, but that's just,
I mean, it's the historical memory and it's the stories that have been passed down for generations. And again, it's lost cause. The only Kennesaw I pay attention to is Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
Oh, he is married?
Baseball guy.
Baseball, you got it. Yeah, you kind of
I do know some shit.
You know, you I'll give you credit. You know your baseball. You do. You do. You know you have the Indian thing, which I don't think the Indians anymore. What the hell they're going to be called now? But they changed their name. They're not going to be the Cleveland Indians anymore.
I want them to be the Garfields.
They won't. That'd be a cool name, though. How about the Fighting Whitgrens, Mayor?
Yes, Ashley would like that.
Oh, God, her head's too big already. She doesn't need that. Trust me.
Poor Ashley.
Oh, God, not quite a poor Savannah situation, but
no.
I get your point. You know.
Poor Savannah.
Poor Savannah. That was fun, though. That was fun.
That was. I'm glad I left that in the podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it was, I think, once he got there, but we were saying on the podcast, though, what's interesting about that whole thing was how Lincoln's demeanor changed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was like
that he wrote him.
It was like he had that epiphany, right? A James Joyce epiphany he had, where he's like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, I should stop meddling now. Granted, that was like saying, it's 11:45 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Yeah, I guess I'll go out for New Year's Eve. He was a little late to the party with that, but he basically knew at that point. And in the letter here, everyone talks about the gift of Savannah telegram, but very few people know about the response letter, the one that we read. I think you read that, actually.
Yep, I did. Yeah. No, I knew we had to talk about that, because that, like, Lincoln's response to Sherman is very similar. I think I mentioned this in the podcast. It's very similar to what he writes Grant after Vicksburg, like basically saying, I didn't know if you could do this, but I'm glad you did. So even back then with Vicksburg, like, you can see Lincoln kind of having a change in the attitude then, but it's definitely changed when it comes to Sherman in that letter he writes him after Atlanta. But I think Lincoln's big, holy fuck, I need to stop meddling moment was when he wrote the letter to Meade that he didn't send. And then he started to put two and two together. Like, oh, Meade is complaining, or not complaining, but saying the same things about, what McClellan was. Like, his men are tired and all that, and I'm not on the battlefield. And then I think he remembered what Reynolds had said to him about not wanting to have, not wanting to have command. And I think that's when, I think it was July of 1863 where Lincoln finally had his, like, I need to stop.
Well, I think that's when it started in his head, right? Yeah. Because I think he started to realize that, he fucked up the Burnside thing.
Oh, yeah.
Going into Fredericksburg, right? Mm-hmm. He put all his cards on the table for McClellan, and then had to eat crow on that one, which we both talked. We don't think he was totally wrong about that, but I think I think the Meade thing, and when he criticized Meade for, you have it in your palm and you hand your hand, you let him slip that whole letter. He didn't realize what the hell was going on, because he hadn't been there yet. I mean, I'll tell you right now, and I'll say this till my dying day, which is probably going to be today, thanks to this shit. But if Lee had gone to South Mountain and fortified South Mountain,
absolutely,
and forced Meade to hit him, like Hooker would have done. If Hooker was still in control, the Union would have got destroyed at Gettysburg. It would have been the Battle of South Mountain 2.0, but the best thing that ever happened to the Union was Meade taking over for Hooker and not being aggressive, because in giving time, because Hooker was coming off Chancellorsville, wanted to prove himself. He would have gone right at him, and if Lee had half a brain, and I think he would have done this, he would have defended South Mountain, and that's why Meade knew not to chase him as fast, because he thought he was being baited, or bait and switch. Meade, I would have thought, right?
Meade made the right decision, I think, in that case. And two, the other thing is like, Hancock is wounded, Gibbon's wounded, Reynolds is dead. You have other men who are wounded, and you have men that are tired. They haven't slept for 3 days, including Meade. Like, who knows how many hours of sleep he's going off of. Lincoln is just being like, do this, and he's sitting back there in Washington. And that's the thing, is Lincoln wasn't putting himself in the place of the generals, that what are they going through with this, And, the other thing with Lee is Lee thought up until, what was it, just, maybe 48 hours before the Battle of Gettysburg, that his next battle was going to be against Hooker.
Well, I mean, the thing, they don't, they certainly had no idea what was awaiting for them, and that's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is you just don't freaking know. Um, and thank God for Lincoln that he had a guy. I don't want to say an adult in the room because I don't want to insult Lincoln, but he did. But anyway, yeah, Jacob, your podcast, the history book is really good, dude. I got you the Brooklyn Dodge one, whatever it was. You got some good stuff there. Check out Jacob's blog. That was it.
The history book. Yeah, definitely check out Jacob's podcast. It's really good. Hi, Ryan. Ryan is stories late. He was talking to his Irish parents, which involved them listing everyone they knew who died this year, what from, and how quickly the priest got through mass. After that excitement, I'm now drinking Belgian Trappist beer from Mike Carney mug. Yay.
Yeah, and Ryan, I got that sweet Redbreast Irish whiskey. I'm gonna save that for I'm not gonna drink that at 10 o'clock in the morning. Good. I'll be end up Porky Pig it, Mary, if I drink that this morning. No one wants that. But I'm gonna stick to my beer. There you go. But I'm gonna but I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that for a special occasion, which is probably gonna be 2 o'clock today, just because it's a special occasion.
We have a couple questions, one from Jim and then one from Christopher. So Jim asked, do you think the AOP was exhausted and needed to rest after the 7 days battles?
Absolutely they were. I mean, there's no question they were. But don't forget too, after the 7 days battles, I mean, you had part of McClellan's army going to chase Jackson. You had a lot of different stuff going on.
Yeah,
they needed that. I think the goal of that point was still to capture Richmond, obviously, and they wasn't going to get done. They needed to reformulate. But I think, would Grant have done it? Now, don't forget, it took Grant 9 months to capture Richmond, and McClellan had 2 to 3. You mean
Vicksburg?
At that point.
Oh, do you mean
7 days battles, right?
Yeah. No, you said Grant to capture Richmond. Did you mean Vicksburg?
I mean Overland.
Oh,
it took
right.
9 months.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
No. Anyway, Mary has her good days and her bad days. But no, but seriously, but I guess I deserve that. But I think they definitely did. And McClellan was a prepare and fight guy. You fight, you fall back, you prepare, you fight again. Grant was more of a go guy, and it still took Grant 9 months. I think so. Again, no one knows. It's all opinion, not fact. But I think so.
Yeah, I think after any battle, they're exhausted, but probably especially after 7 days, especially after Gettysburg as well, because they've given it their all at that battle, and considering they're coming off of the Chancellorsville defeat. And then Christopher asked, what was your opinion on Guelzo's book? I found it very unfair to Meade. Yeah. I need to go back and reread it again, because I read it right after I'd read a very positive General Meade biography, and I'm very much Team Meade. So I don't think it is very fair to Meade.
See, one of my friend Tim from Gettysburg, Tim Smith, he's on the you see him with Gary Edelman sometimes. He's a big Meade guy. When you see him at the Farnsworth house, which we talked to him at Sweeney's about this, he's very pro Meade. I think what Guelzo did is he took certain things about Meade and made them bigger deals than they were.
Yeah.
Like he took the War Council.
Yeah.
That one.
Picture.
Right, that picture. He took that War Council, and instead of gathering opinions to decide what to do, he took it as a lack of leadership. That's okay. And then on July 3rd, during Pickett's charge, he was up at Little Round Top. And there's a plaque up there that says he was there, right?
Yeah.
And they took that he was up there to view the situation and see what was happening from there. Guelzo took it that he was not on the battlefield, that he left the battlefield. So, look.
It's all in interpretation, right? It's all in how you're interpreting the history. And if you're going into it not liking somebody, you're going to see that as negative. It's kind of like how Grant kept saying Thomas was slow. Whereas I don't think that's a fair assessment of Thomas. I think the difference between Grant and Thomas was what you said, Darren, just about Grant. He would just go in and get it. And you mentioned Meade just being a little bit more methodical. I think Thomas was the same way. He was methodical. I wouldn't call him slow. I think he liked to sit back and kind of think about things. He was not the same type of general as Grant. Mm-hmm. Grant was more, I'm going to go in and get it, and I'll, shoot now, shoot some more. We'll talk about it after, kind of thing. Whereas Thomas would be like, I think we need to talk about this first.
I like Guelzo. I think his book is good, but I think he has an agenda, and I think, and I'm not sure if he's a big pro Hooker guy or what, but I think he thinks is Meade probably gets too much credit for Gettysburg, and is kind of sitting here saying, listen, he was new to command. I don't want to say he was flying by the seat of his pants, but he had to formulate a plan, and it changed. So I think he takes the little things and he basically says, the War Council, he could have shown more leadership. He put on the other hands the guys, but whatever. So he throws hints in there of like, well, maybe, because something, there's no reason. This doesn't mean he's wrong, right?
Exactly.
His history has taught us that Meade helped win the Battle of Gettysburg, which of course he did. And he took the whole, like we mentioned with Sickles a week or so ago, who the hell knows what it was now, about whether as July 2nd, the morning, Meade didn't know if he was going to be an offensive or defensive battle at that point, right? Yeah. So does that mean he's wishy-washy? No, but that's how people can spin it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's going to be offense. So he didn't know, because he didn't know that he just got there the night before. He didn't know the situation, so he wasn't sure what he wanted to do just yet. Does that mean he was wishy-washy? No, but if you could look at that in hindsight and make the case, and that's what Guelzo does.
Yeah.
I don't think he's unfair. I just think he puts a spin on it. He just trying to make you think, like maybe he wasn't the end all be all. I like Meade. I think Meade. When you read Ken Masterson's book that we're going to talk about later, the Retreat, Meade is 100% right how he handled that. The only thing Meade does wrong on the Retreat is when he telegrams Lincoln and says, "I'm going to attack tomorrow," and he never does. That's the only thing he did wrong. The rest of it, he was right on. He was right not to chase him because he didn't know what Lee's intentions were. He had a big Union victory. It was it was Meade's first big victory as commander, right? After all these losses, Fredericksburg, chances of a whole deal. He finally beats Lee. The last thing he wanted to do was give up the win and blow it, but being over aggressive. So he did the right thing.
Oh, that's he did. I've always been Team Meade. He's my favorite Eastern Theater commander, and I think he's the best that they had in the Eastern Theater for the Civil War. And Paul makes a good point here. He said Guelzo's a good writer, but he shapes history to his beliefs. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah. He's just looking at the history, whereas Guelzo sees him as being like kind of Meade as being wishy-washy. I see him as it being a good thing that he's having this war council in the early morning hours of July the 3rd, because I'm pretty sure it's probably past midnight when they were meeting, and he's getting the opinion. Like, that's a good thing to do as a leader, is to get it shows trust. He also when he stays back at closer to Pipe Creek for most of July the 1st, and he sends Hancock in, even though like Howard outranks him, Meade knows Hancock, he knows he can handle it. So again, he's making a decision, just in case Lee happens to attack at Pipe Creek, at least the Union still knows to fall back there. So I think like Meade was the right choice for Gettysburg. And that's probably why I struggle with Guelzo's book a lot. He is a brilliant writer, but I struggle with his opinion of Meade.
Don't deny the existence of a Northern lost cause, Mayor, because it definitely exists.
There absolutely is a Northern lost cause.
So, but I mean, if you read Paul, your point about the trace of beliefs. I mean, you read Douglas Sothall Freeman, and he's the king of that. I mean, you wouldn't think that. You would think that, kind of like the way you are with Howard, Mary, he is with Lee Freeman. I mean, I think Lee would have fought the ball on his own. He was like Rambo, all by himself.
Not like that with Howard.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that he yeah, that's true.
Maybe a little.
Knows. Yeah, a little bit. Who knows? But I think the overall point is he thinks Meade gets too much credit for Gettysburg.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. That's his opinion. You know what you do? You read the book, you decide on your own, and you read other things.
Exactly. Yeah, just keep reading. It's kind of like, I've really become like a Team Tilden person, and I wish people knew more about him because of you and Heckman. Yes, I see.
You want to talk about Tilden? No, leave Tilden alone today.
Tilden. Somebody said Jim said Grant the go-go dancer.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
And somebody suggested the song Macarena, which I'm going to have stuck on my head. I think it was Jacob for the rest of the day. Allie B said, it's all about how people look at the sources and how they interpret them. I found that even simple things that people can read them completely differently. Very true. Yeah, that's just it. It's how you interpret it.
It all depends on who you read. I mean,
yep.
I don't mean us, a couple of fatheads like us talking online. I mean, like these authors, right?
Yeah.
What was the primary sources that Alan Guelzo used? What were the primary sources that Stephen Sears used, or a Harry Fonz? I mean, Harry Fonz used a lot of the Batchelder stuff. I mean, I gotta find those Batchelder papers, man. I gotta get that.
I told you should talk to Jim about that.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
I gotta get them too. But they're so expensive, so we should probably just go splits on them.
I should get a big bag and send you to the bookstore, and off you go. you know. But I think it all depends. You can tell who these people are. But you know what though? It's everyone. It's like we were saying earlier about Sherman. There are people in the South who believe he did things he didn't do, and vice versa.
Yep.
So who cares? But again, like it's not who you read. It's how much you read. And the more you read, the more of an intelligent opinion you can make. You know what? The best part about this, man, there's no right or wrong.
No, there's not. It's all in, it's all in how we interpret it. It's making sure that like, a variety is read and all that, but then to question what are the bias, even of the primary sources. So if you're looking at the Battle of Chancellorsville, and yes, I'm going to mention Howard again. He's like my Tilden. But if you read, if you look at von Gilsa's after action report, of course he's going to be a shithead about Howard because he doesn't like Howard at all. So you have to keep it in mind, like what are the interpersonal relationships of the people as well. Same for Lookout Mountain, right? Like Grant basically shoves it off as being pure romance. Whereas had it not happened, as we discussed in Chattanooga, like Hooker is the MVP of the battles for Chattanooga. Grant and Sherman.
Well, they didn't want to give Hooker.
No, they didn't.
Hooker was that loud mouth at the bar running his mouth. Basically, he was me in Atlanta is who he was, okay? And so people didn't want to give him credit. Think about it. He's the guy that no one liked personally on that level, on that peer level. And so of course you're not going to give him credit. Grant didn't want to give Hooker credit for that because they want to give Hooker credit for anything. Have you seen Hooker get credit for a goddamn thing?
Never,
right?
Not even like, even with the AOP stuff, if like you say like what he did for the AOP, there'll be people that be like, McClellan did that. It's like, no, McClellan didn't give them the Corps badges. And the thing with Hooker,
the biggest thing with Hooker was the artillery, the reserve artillery of the Corps. That was the biggest thing he did that no one gives him credit for. And I don't mean people like I said. I mean these other generals. Even the Meades didn't throw a lot of credit around either.
No, it was just like
he was just too busy staring all the time.
It is Civil War Mean Girls, is what it is. Like you can't. For some reason, Grant couldn't take a step back and be like, okay, Hooker, you know what, you did something good. But then Slocum on the way to Chattanooga is writing to Lincoln and Grant and saying, I'm going to fucking step down if I have to serve under Hooker. Like he's being a 14-year-old about it too. Howard's just kind of sitting there like, well, what the hell, can't we just whatever? So then that's why they Slocum to work on the railroads for a while, because he and Hooker don't get along. Like they're having to deal with stupid drama.
But you know what though, and I don't want to sit here and say Hooker's the greatest thing in the world either, because he wasn't. I mean, he was a guy.
Not, but he's
and
still
I don't mean the Hookers Brigade, all the women. I don't mean the Butterfield bang barn shit. I mean
Corps.
the 30th Corps, the XXX Corps. It's the things of like he didn't tell his subordinate generals where they were in the battlefield, because it was knowledge is power. So when he was going into Pennsylvania through Maryland, through Taneytown and Emmitsburg, all that stuff, no one knew. When Meade took control, he had no idea where his army was because Hooker never told him. Like he knew where his fifth corps guys were, obviously, because the fifth corps. He had no idea where Sickles was. He had no idea where Reynolds was. Knowledge is power at that level, and he made sure he didn't know. That's why he kept Butterfield. Because the first thing he needed to do was find out where the fuck the army was. Because I don't know where the hell these fucking people are all over the place.
And he's taking it over, and like, what is it, 72 hours later, he's fighting the fucking Battle of Gettysburg. He hasn't been able to make the AOP his AOP yet. So he's fighting with like the army that Hooker created. And I don't think Hooker gets enough. That's something like, it's not just the reserve artillery. It's this army that is fighting at Gettysburg is the army that Hooker created. Kate Chase.
Yeah, he's right. Kate Chase is the mean girl of that.
Yeah. Jacob says Civil War Mean Girls. Okay, who's Lindsay Lohan?
Well, it's just Kate Chase. There you go.
Yeah, Kate.
Sarah Bush Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Hard no.
No.
Certainly wasn't Savannah.
Poor Savannah.
Hey, at least her problems are behind her.
Yeah. Are they ever? The back door.
I still can't believe you said that.
That was great. And you're so serious when you say it. And then it's almost like a run-on sentence.
I said it.
Knocking at Savannah's back door, which really sounds horrible now that I say it out loud.
Well, I said that, and I just was like, fuck. And then I Pierre was like this. Jesus. So when we do this, it's the same thing we're looking at right now. It's a Zoom thing. And I look up and she's like this. And I just started laughing. It was pretty funny though. But
it was the same time we said poor Savannah.
Hey, poor Savannah. Yeah. Well,
Paul
Savannah,
said,
don't go cry for me.
Paul said Hooker also helped organize, the BMI, military intelligence. He helped to bring about that too. And I think too that the corps badges and the insignias really helped as well, because it gave you something to rally around, right? Like there's that
Well,
symbolism.
it brings pride. It brings core pride.
Exactly.
But the big thing was the reorganization of the artillery.
Yeah.
Under Pendleton. I mean, under Henry Hunt. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, Hooker definitely doesn't get enough credit for that. And like, yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he was like an asshole, a lot of the time.
Of course
But
he was.
but so was Warren.
You think any of these generals weren't? You think Howard wasn't, Mary? Of
I
course
think
he was.
Howard probably could be a dick at times too. They all could.
You don't get to that level in the military. I know it's volunteer, it's not professional.
Yeah.
Without having a certain duende, I guess it is. I mean, we talked a lot about Hancock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was a bigger dick than Hancock, and look how far he got.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, but there was the ones that I think there are some though that they don't have the ego on them that some of the other ones have. And Buford was definitely one of those. Like Buford, had he advocated for himself, probably would have got that command over Pleasanton at one time. But Pleasanton advocated for himself. Buford was not one to go writing to somebody like Abraham Lincoln or other politicians saying, "Hey, get me this." He wanted to earn it.
Buford?
Yeah.
He's the one who wrote your letter throwing Howard under the bus, Mary.
I know he did. I know he did, but I'm not going to. I don't want
to go all actually on you, but he actually did write a letter to a superior, bashing someone.
No. This was asking for a fucking command.
Darren wins.
Proof that you're not paying attention.
You know why I'm not paying attention? Got the flag. But what I'm saying, they all did. Buford. Oh, okay, fine. But they all did though. Every one of these guys had an agenda. Every one of these guys felt that their plan was the way. Now Buford had a great plan at Gettysburg. There's no question he did.
Oh yeah,
the way he did the whole thing west of town. But again, they all felt their plans, and I'll give Howard credit because he basically, and Slocum for that matter, at Gettysburg, because they both allowed a lesser general and Hooker to. They said Slocum should have been the guy who was pissed, Mary, not Howard. Howard, he was there. He helped to direct the 11 chords and all that stuff. We did prove the broke first last week, Mary. So Howard off the hook for that. But Slocum outranked both of them, and he was just the problem with him. He's just so goddamn slow to get there. He just was,
Slocum was also a lot like Sherman in that regard too. He didn't want the responsibility. Like he was fine to let somebody else do it. Liza says she's Team Hooker. Yes. Jim has a question, and I'm sure some of our other listeners watching this can answer it. Is there a good biography about Hooker? I don't have a single monograph about him. Neither do I, actually, so I would like to know.
It's definitely out there.
Allie B said, I think you need to have a strong personality to be at the top like that. And when you're dealing with other people like that, it's going to be, it does become catty with some of them. Sheridan and Meade.
Well, look what he did to poke your boy Governor K. Warren, speaking of Sheridan, right?
Sheridan and Warren,
1865.
egos were too big for the whole, like, there's the AOP. And
but to Allie's right, though. Allie's whole point. You don't get to that level without that. That's what helped get you to that level. Every one of these guys. You talk about, you pick any of the 7 guys at Gettysburg. You talk about all the Western guys. These other battles we've been talking about lately. Every single one of them. I mean, they all have their opportunities. They all felt that the plan they were going to do was the best plan, and then they knew that if the plan worked, their superior officer was probably going to take credit for the plan, which is what Grant did with Hooker. Look out mountain. Yep,
exactly. Right? Yeah, but Grant went one step further and said Lookout Mountain never happened. Like, basically, it was not a battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joseph, you're right with Grant did Rosecrans. Although Rosecrans was basically sent there to undermine Grant, though. I mean, that whole thing with Vicksburg, that all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff was. I mean, Rosecrans was he. Rosecrans had his own. I don't want to say he was incompetent because I don't think he was.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about Murfreesboro or Stones River, whatever the fuck you want to call it, next week.
Such language.
Where Rosecrans actually, he's at Murfreesboro, right? Is it Rosecrans? Am I getting that right? Or am I thinking? I know he's at Tullahoma campaign.
Well, during that whole part of the stuff, but regardless of the point of matter of Rosecrans was that he got to fight Bragg, and I think that really inflated him a little bit. Bragg was Bragg, But I think it'll be interesting to go into that. But every one of these dudes is had, you know, and I know we're on this tangent because that question about Guelzo. That's why we're still doing.
Well,
this,
yeah,
you know?
that's why I like it when our listeners ask
Yeah.
questions. It's awesome.
No, it's cool.
Well,
it's cool.
interactive too, right?
You know?
Liza said Hooker needs a new bio and a more balanced rep. Yep.
But Jacob brings up a really good point. I was actually speaking of Mary, I was going to mention this. Every one of these guys has a derogatory nickname.
They do.
Right? Snapping Turtle, you know, Little Napoleon, all these guys. Because Howard, right?
Yep.
Slow to come Slocum.
Yeah.
All of them, right? And that's because, you know, because it's petty jealousy and rivalries, and that's just the way it was.
Jim Grant to Rosecrans, bend over, baby. I'm going to ram this one home.
Wow. Holy Tullahoma.
Yeah, Rosecrans versus Bragg at Stones River. Allie B said Rosecrans and Grant just didn't like each other in general. I read a whole book on Corinth, and that relationship was just not great from the jump. Yeah, just something. Well, we talked about it on the podcast. Like, you had found out it was because of how Rosecrans had treated him. Remember the drunk thing during Vicksburg?
Yeah, absolutely. That came from that Groom book. Specifically. But it's funny. I had a friend, my friend Jeremy. He grew up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and we were talking the Civil War, Stones River, and he's like, yeah, I know it was a battle. I don't know anything about it. I see monuments. I know nothing about it.
I mean, I think Jim lives in Murfreesboro, and he obviously he knows his shit about the Civil War. But there's a lot of people that live in these places. And it's like, it's in your own backyard. Go explore it.
But my friend Jerry played baseball at Georgia Tech, so he wasn't all there anyway. So this is back when I was my younger baseball days. But he basically he didn't know much about. He was aware that there was a battle, but he didn't know anything about it. I was the same way with Lexington growing up. I didn't care about the Revolutionary War, but it is interesting though when we talk about the personalities and stuff like that. You know, it's
Lori makes a good point here. I find Grant having his favorites so fascinating. I think he carried that trait into his presidency with not so great results. One of the best examples of that is Rawlins. When Rawlins, I think he had tuberculosis, and that's what ended up killing him. But he was part of Grant's cabinet. And there was this thing that was going to be passed, which would have given Sherman more power in the armies. And it was basically what Grant and Sherman had wanted all along in the Civil War, was less interference from Washington. And so Sherman was going to get that. Well, then at the last minute, Rawlins said, this isn't a good idea, because I don't think Rawlins was that fond of Sherman at all. And he said to Grant, I don't think this is a good idea. And Rawlins was dying at the time, and Grant knew that. So then Sherman found out what had happened via a memo or rumor, probably a rumor. And he went to Grant's office and he said, this is what we always wanted. And you told me that it was going to happen. Why have you done that? Why have you taken this away? And Grant just said, Rawlins is dying. And I need to grant him this wish. And after that, their friend, like Sherman and Grant, their friendship wasn't the same. Like Sherman took one look at him and said, very well, Mr. President. And he walked out. So yeah, Grant did play favorites to the point where he lost friendships, but also to the point where he was basically turning a blind eye to the corruption in his cabinet too.
Of course he was. I mean, he put all his buddies in there. Just before you go on that, hey, Chris, it's treehouse time, buddy. Just crack this one. So this is for you. So congratulations and happy birthday, by the way. And all that stuff. So, Ryan got a big comment here.
Oh yeah, this is so controversial view from this morning's podcast. This idea that Slocum and Howard were abolitionists, so Sherman must have gone around Slocum to get Davis to pull up the bridge, troubles me. Slocum and Howard have those jobs because they are competent soldiers who follow their orders and don't have any exciting independent ideas. A Hooker or Logan with a thought to their future reputations or political aspirations would have had concerns about mistreating the former slaves and refugees. What part of Slocum's career says he would have told Sherman to get lost? I don't think there's any reason to believe Slocum wouldn't have passed the order on without complaint to Davis. Just my controversial thought for the day. I don't think that's a controversial thought, Ryan. That's a good one.
No.
You know,
we spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about Ebenezer and Merrill.
Yeah, we did.
And you know what? I'm not sure if my gut tells me Sherman didn't tell him to do it. But he didn't exactly don't cry for me, Argentina after it was done. I mean, Jefferson C. Davis was a capital B bastard with a lot of this stuff, right? He was no friend of slaves. they were slowing him down.
Yeah.
I mean, he was General Reb was his nickname as a Union
Yeah,
guy.
I was just thinking that, General Reb. Yeah.
And he basically made sure, and Sherman basically, he didn't give a shit about it. I mean, he just, and you know what, from a military perspective, Sherman, that whole thing was right. Unfortunately, it was, but at the time, and even now, I mean, that was a bad
looks
deal.
bad. It just but what's bad about it is sending the 14th Corps back to say, Jeff C. Davis was a total Jeff Davis. Yeah, he was right. That's true. But the whole thing that was bad about it was sending the 14th Corps guys back and telling these slaves, we're going to go across first because they're sharpshooters. And then after that, we'll let you go across. So you're giving these people that have been in bondage their entire lives, you're giving them the hope of freedom.
Yeah.
You're lying to them.
Oh, the stories how,
it's like
how
what happened at Andersonville, right? Like,
well, they were singing religious songs about Jubilee and their lives were saved just to get fucked. I mean, the whole thing with I mentioned Charles Kerr, the guy from 126th Illinois, the cavalry guy. That whole story where he was mortified, right? And he ended up basically writing that letter that leaked to the press. That his Major James Connolly ended up having to take the whole heat for, right?
Yeah.
And then it ended up with Stanton coming down in January to talk to Sherman, but Sherman's like, whatever. I mean, he had to do what he had to do, but they say that Sherman war is a terrible thing, right? That's exactly what it is, and unfortunately, that's part of Sherman's total war mantra.
It is, and I just think he didn't want to deal with the controversy of Ebenezer Creek. He just didn't want to deal.
No,
with
he didn't. But he studied Jomini at West Point. I don't know if you've read Jomini, Mary, but if he did in his mind what had to be done. It's one of those ends justify the means things.
Yeah.
But it's a shitty. It's a human. It's a shitty story.
Yeah, it's just the whole like going back and telling them we're going to get you across and knowing full well we're going to take these bridges up before you guys can get across. That's what bothers me about it. Is that?
Yeah. Well, it's a bad deal. It's such a bad deal. Jomini's in my head now. Our friend Kara Reardon, who we'll talk about. Well, I don't know if we'll talk about her, but we talked about her earlier.
We talked about her last time.
She has a book about history, about military history in Jomini that's really, really good too. She's awesome, Carol Reardon.
Yeah,
too bad Heckman's not on today because she's a professor at Gettysburg College. And you should see her out and about. She's even shorter than you, Mary, which is saying something. But she's a great person to talk to. But she has so many good books. We'll talk about that. Actually, I was going to say, speaking of books, I just happen to have her book here, Mary.
Well, there you go.
Speaking of Carol Reardon,
that's the one I want to get right there.
Yeah, I'll tweet this. Carol Reardon's Pickets Charge in History and Memory. This is by far, bar none, period, the best book ever written on Pickets Charge, and it's only like. God, there's a lot of notes in here. It's like 250 pages. It's all soldier stories about the charge.
Yeah, I want to get that.
That's all it is. So we'll talk books later. I had this because I just wanted to show it to you, but this book, this is great. Carol's
I do want to
awesome
get that one,
too,
and
so
I have $150 to spend at Amazon. So,
ooh,
maybe I'll get that.
Poor Savannah.
I did look for the Road to Richmond this morning. $140.
Oh, I saw it on Amazon for $30 this morning.
That's Amazon.com.
God, I'll just get it and ship it to you then, for Christ's sakes. I mean, Jesus Christ, seriously, it's ridiculous. I mean, I could probably order it through Amazon and I could just have it shipped to you like we did for John, right?
Yeah.
And it won't cost $150, right?
No, and this is from Amazon.ca. Yeah, I don't have access
to
it.
So I'll just do that then. I'll just do that, for Christ's sakes. Stupid shit we talk. That's stupid shit we talk about. But the reality is the small book's really good. But like that Reardon book is legit. So we'll do some serious book enabling there.
Yeah, I do want to read that one at some point. Alibi said that Rawlins was one of the people in Grant's camp during the Petersburg campaign that was not a fan of the idea of Sherman's march to the sea. I believe he and Porter would get into big arguments about it, and I remember that Simpson even mentions that Rawlins was making a trip up to DC for Grant to see Lincoln, and then a little after, Grant got a new message from Lincoln questioning the march again. So it's interesting to think about with Rawlins. Yeah, Rawlins, I think, went behind the scenes a little bit and did shit that, he was at times.
Well, Charles Dana did too. He did. Grant, but they both did. I mean, But Rawlins, he had a pretty good career after the war too. You know.
Yeah. You know,
They,
Lori says that Ebenezer Creek led to special order number 15. I think that's the one with the whole 40 acres and a mule.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a, I don't know, it's almost like a $600 stimulus package, Mary, but that's another story right there.
But the 40 acres and a mule ends up getting rescinded anyway by Johnson, right?
That's what I mean. It's like, okay, sure.
Jim Rollins seems to me to be the stern parent. He is.
Dana was the cool grandmother. Rollins was the mean grandmother. That's how
Hey,
that
Roger.
was.
Hey, Shannon. Ryan said he's gonna go a little bit. He's not going to be going book crazy and whiskey crazy.
Talking about it. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for jumping on. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hey, I haven't seen Allie Kay on here today. Is she on?
She was. She popped on. I said hi to her.
I didn't see her. Okay, well, that's why we asked the questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see her. Oh, anyway.
No, she's been on here. I don't know if she still is or not, but.
Yeah, well, if she's on here, say hello. Yeah. But no, but there's do you want to talk about some books right now, real quick?
I was just gonna say let's talk about some books. Let's talk about the book club.
All right, we're gonna segue real quick into this. So as you know, maybe you don't know, who knows? But we're doing this book club. And by the way, we have a new website now, Mary.
We do. Allie Kate's here.
Oh, hey, Allie.
I knew you were here. I said hi to you. I know you.
I didn't see her on. I wanted to say hi to her if she was here. I didn't say hi to her. So anyway, so CivilWarBreakfastClub.com now, and yep. Mary, admittedly, she's done an awesome job with this website. I mean, seriously, my sister helped set the whole thing up for us. I gotta give her credit too. But she put all the stuff on there, and she did everything. So check it out. And everything you see on that is all her, is all Mary. She did an awesome job. But so anyway, so we are doing this book club, and we are doing this one here, Black Iron Mercy, right?
Yeah,
this is the first book, one. Okay? Yep. And we're going to be doing this. And I have the other books here, Mary. I don't know if you brought those or not.
I do have the second one here with me.
I know you were busy writing out markers on white pieces of paper, so I don't know if you remember to bring the book, so I just wanted to make sure.
Who edited the podcast yesterday, fucker?
Go on.
Our second book is going to be Through the Heart of Dixie, Sherman's March in American Memory by Dr. Ann Sarah Rubin.
Okay, and our third book, this is actually kind of hokey how we're doing this. The third book is going to be this one, Assassin's Accomplice by Kate Larson, our friend Dr. Kate. So we'll definitely do this. And so go on the website, you get these ones. So it's pretty cool. And
then the fourth one is Retreat from Gettysburg by Kent Masterson Brown. So those are the 4 books we're going to be reading in 2021. So we'll read them each quarter. And then at the end of each one, we will, as we said last week on the live and we explained on the podcast, we'll get together via Zoom to discuss the books. Yeah,
they're really, really good. Every single one of these. And every one of these are all authors who we've either know or we've talked to. So they're and we've all read these. You haven't read the Masterson book, but Kent.
I haven't. No.
Great. We talked before about, and I've said this before. I don't want to go too crazy with these books, but you cannot understand the Gettysburg campaign without reading this book. It is like if you think the Battle of Gettysburg ends at Pickett's charge, that's like walking out of a football game at the end of the third quarter, and that's it. Yeah. Because there's so much more that goes into it after July 3rd that goes into this. And it's brilliant. And you'll get an appreciation for guys like Judson Kilpatrick, believe it or not. You'll talk about how, guys like Imboden, and all these guys, you hear, their names, but you don't know the details. These books really come out with it. So we're going to be doing this. And so it's going to be really, really cool. So we got a lot of emails on these, Mary.
Yeah. So if you want to be part of it, just send us an email to civilwarbreakfastclub@gmail.com. We are going to be getting a new email address soon too. So that will be changing. I'm just still trying to figure out, I'm not exactly technologically adept. I'm actually shocked I can do all I did on the website, but I've actually always enjoyed website design. So I'm enjoying.
She did a good job at that. But all four of these books are easy reads. They're intelligent reads. They're not too booky. They're not too easy. They're good. And but every one of these is done for a reason. Dr. Kate's book on Mary Surratt is great. But I think, and I know a lot of people have ordered the Eric Schleinlein book. on Black Iron Mercy.
No, and it's just as good as what
right?
Shara writes. It's just as good.
That is a Killer Angels quality book.
It
Who
is.
reads that is going to love the book. The Retreat book is absolutely must read for a Gettysburg fan. A must read. There's none better. I know there's other books about the Retreat I've read. This one is by far the best. I've not read Dr. Rubin's book, Mary, so that's a new one for me. So I'll read that.
She's really, really nice. And I haven't read Lee's Retreat yet, so I'm looking forward to that one. Allie K posted that she said her back was sore, so she has to sit very still. I hope you feel better. Back pain is the fucking worst.
Well, Allie, stay off that bike for many reasons. For your back.
Paul said Retreat was one of the first Gettysburg books I read, and then Allie K said she's ordered Black Iron Mercy too. Awesome. You guys are way ahead, all planned out. Yeah, we just decided to get it all planned out for 2021, and then that way we could have it posted on the website and people kind of know what we have planned for that. The other thing on the website too is we did a page for coming attractions, so there's going to be like 4 weeks list on there with what we have coming up and all that as well.
Jonathan, Coddington does talk about the post Gettysburg, but no one else does. I just think it's a huge missed opportunity where he literally thinks, I swear most people think, and I know people here don't, but in general, that Lee retreats a picket charge because of the movie and they all walk home and that's the end. But that is like, if you're thinking of the Gettysburg campaign, Pickett's charge is like the 6th inning if it's a baseball game.
Yeah. Do you mean the Pettigrew Pickett Trimble charge?
Oh, that's right.
Level of dickhead
Pickett's
right now.
Pettigrew Trimble charge. That's right. I forgot about that. You're down with PPT. I got you. But
the T-shirt idea, PPT, the PPT charge.
Down with PPT. but all seriousness, it's a great book, and we'll talk more about these books going forward. But Coming Attractions is a good idea. Should be. We did add it to the website. Jacob should have said that, man.
No, that's what he's saying. He said that. No, he's saying he's going to add it to his web. He's going to add.
I'm sorry. It's fine to read. I thought he said we should do that. Yes, you should. You should definitely do that because it's fun for us because we have different podcast ideas. But the book thing we're excited about. Are we the book club thing? Isn't that cool?
No. I really. I mean, I think the one thing we want to keep doing with this podcast as we keep kind of growing and evolving is making it as interactive for people as possible. And I mean, the roundtable has shown us that we can do that. But take it to one more level where we can get together and talk about books and maybe feature, like, we don't want to do like a Coddington or a Fons, but maybe feature some of these lesser known authors or some different topics in the Civil War. And I think we're covering historical fiction this year. We're covering the assassination. We're covering Eastern and Western theater.
And we didn't want to bore anybody. We also didn't want to insult anybody's intelligence, right? But these are good solid books. But that Masters and Retreat book is awesome. It really is. It really is.
I'm looking forward to reading it. And speaking of books, we do have, I added a book enabling tab to the website as well. And on there, I'm going to eventually get posted all the books that you guys brought up those of you that were on the roundtable brought up. But the other thing we want to do is if any of our listeners ever want to write a book review, we will post it on there as well. So that's another thing that we want to do is kind of give you guys a voice as well to talk about on there the books you've read, because you guys, you enable us so much with books. It's really, really awesome, especially Allie B, Jim, Ryan, actually all of you, quite good at book enabling. So yeah, eventually so stay tuned to that. Like the website, we're still kind of working out just a few more things on it and all that. But yeah, definitely we'll be having book reviews on there too. Chris said, you guys better get my Crippen book when I finish it. Allie B, book enabling tab, dangerous, mere dangerous, our poor wallets. Yeah. No,
Chris, I'll definitely read your Crippen book, man. I'm looking forward to that. Roy Stone, 149th, 143rd, and all that.
Jonathan's got a question. Can you cover books from the 60s that are still pertinent, like Blue and Gray on the Nile? Yeah, absolutely. We could do that too.
Say why not? Say why not? But I guess the problem with these books, though, Mary, and nothing against the books you mentioned.
Yeah.
You got to understand the context of when they're written, right?
But I think
like
that's why he's saying to have a look at them,
No, I mean, he's a great idea. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I'm just saying that you read this stuff then. This is 60 years ago now. Things a lot have changed, and so a lot of attitudes have changed. But yeah, definitely.
But that's why it's good to discuss it too. And yeah, Jonathan, if you like, what?
Jago sent me his Amazon credit card. Tell me about it.
Yeah, Jonathan, that could be something if you wanted to, like, if you wanted to write a review of that, we can post it once I get the review section up. The book about, is it Grierson?
It's Grierson.
I knew I was going to say that is really great. That's what Joseph says. Jim, I have an entire book filled with Civil War books and a huge Amazon wish list. More than happy to enable everybody.
It's right. The Grierson thing is interesting because people don't realize how significant Grierson's cavalry raid was at Vicksburg, and I think it really set up that thing. I'm going to write that Tilden book, Mary. I'm going to do it.
Oh, I'm writing a Howard book.
I know. I know. I'm sorry. I know, but I'm going to do it. And then that'll be on this, and you could have the author on my pipe. I'll sit here.
Oh, wow.
I'll have a bunch of books behind me, like a leather big.
Will you have a flag like that? Will you have?
I'll do an author at home pose. I'll be Darren. I'll be D. John Weeks.
D. John Weeks, aka fucker.
Exactly.
Allie B actually made a comment back at the beginning, like, could you imagine if Tilden was carrying that flag into battle and the tape came off of it?
It wouldn't have come off.
Embarrassing.
It was all heroes. But that'd have been great if that was their battle flag, though. I tried so hard to find a 16th flag. I couldn't find it. Oh. So I had to do the 20th, but the 16th is great. It's the best I could do. But it was pretty cool.
Well, we got to do that T-shirt that you posted the other day. We're talking about doing as merch for the website. That Tilden
eventually we're gonna sell some stuff through RedTube.
Eventually.
Not RedTube. Jesus Christ, Mary. I'm thinking about Savannah.
Oh, what were you up to last night?
If you don't know what RedTube is, definitely Google that.
Did you really? You said goodnight at like 10 o'clock. What were you?
Fucking RedTube, Redbubble. Jesus. Hey, we'll just edit that out.
RedTube, guys.
We're just gonna edit that out anyway. Or we'll just edit that out. RedTube. Fuck's sakes. Redbubble. God, it's Christmas for Christ's sakes.
I don't know what kind of merch you're planning on selling, but that's not what we talked about the other day. But hey, if you want to open it up to that audience, South
will rise again. South will rise again.
Christopher says, thank you guys for being a good watch and listen during the pandemic. Happy to find you too. Thank you, Christopher. Yeah. We were very happy to have you and everybody else along for this. We really enjoy doing these on Saturday mornings. They're a lot of fun for us too. Just because you guys are so interactive too.
No, it is.
Jonathan,
See, I'm getting killed.
RebTube, quick. RebTube, quick by the URL.
See, now I'm going to get killed in the red. You know what? It's slip of the lip, literally and figuratively, but that's okay.
Ryan heard it as RebTube, which is like even more offensive.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Poor Savannah.
Make sure you Google that. Make sure you pull up that side of the old browser in front of the whole family. That'll go over well. Can't believe I fucking did that.
RedTube, merchandise on RedTube. We can have a little RedTube icon down in the corner of our website now with all our other social media things.
Oh, I'll be like that scene when Grant with the cigar up. That should have been sponsored by RedTube. Right?
It probably was. It was sponsored by RebTube.
RebTube, God. But God. Anyways.
Yeah, so we know what Darren does with his spare time.
And don't pull a tube and those work Zoom meetings are always touch and go, literally and figuratively, Jim. But no, tube and Jesus Christ. But we are going to do some merchandise, Mayor, I think, on the website. We're kind of cool.
Ryan, RebTube brings you the Bang Barn series with me.
See, this is what happens.
It's like the whole poor Savannah thing. You're talking so seriously about it, and it's like a run-on sentence. And he's at the back door of Savannah, and as I say that sounds horrible.
stepping in it all of a sudden lately. But I don't know. I haven't thought of red. That's so weird. I said that, but I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what you were up to yesterday, but
I wasn't doing anything. Whatever. Anywho, it wasn't red tube.
So you went to bed so early.
I don't know. What it is, you know. It's fucking crazy. But that'll be fun to do that. I do want to do that Tilden t-shirt though. In all seriousness, I do want to do that. You know.
And I actually want to do one that says pedigree. Do you mean the pedigree picket Trimble charge?
That'd be a good one too. You could wear those around Gettysburg and people.
Oh, that's what I plan on doing. I also want to have one that says like "First Corps broke first," with Howard smiling.
Oh, that'd be with the sunglasses. Yeah. See, the thing is, you have to get the
high quality. We have.
Yeah, the rest. But anyway, so we can pour Savannah. We can make a t-shirt.
That's a Reb tube. The logo for the Reb tube channel can be a barn.
There probably is a Reb tube, by the way. There probably is. I'll bet you if you pull it up, there probably is. It's probably some big like Lost Cause-y. The Salt will rise again site, probably.
Rise again, indeed.
All right. Well. But I guess I guess there's potential with that. But anyway, no. Wow.
Just giving you shit. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Christopher says I will get a shirt. Roy Stone don't like the 143rd.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, the 143rd, the Bucktail Brigade would be a good one to do too. You know. There's a lot of cool stuff about that. About different ideas for that. Because I mean, I'm sick of the whole "Don't Call Me Lawrence" T-shirt that you see everywhere.
And, I am too. I kind of want to do some like from the stuff we've talked about on here. Like, oh God, I would love to walk around Gettysburg with a shirt that said like "First Corps broke first" with Howard with sunglasses on.
So Ryan, Father Corby, I want to make a T-shirt that says "Father Corby was a Boston College reject." That's the one I want.
Yeah. We need Father Corby to do a mass absolution of all the sinners at Breakfast Club before the next battle.
Yeah,
please make me Colville merch.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Colville, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Jonathan actually has a question. The U.S. Army named forts after mostly bad Confederate generals. Was that on purpose? Was thinking after reading a BBC article on that. Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, Fort Polk, Fort Pickett.
I think it was mostly because of because of where they were from. Like Fort A.P. Hill was right where Booth got killed, same exact area. I think it's just he was a local general, I guess, right? Do what?
Did it have a bang barn with it?
Yeah, that's where General Booth was killed. He was killed in the bang barn.
Hill?
You know, but no, Booth, God, no. But I think that it's a local thing. Why Bragg has one? I mean, Fort Benning, obviously. I mean, Rock Benning in Georgia was always a big thing. Fort Hood in Texas, although he wasn't even from Texas, which is kind of weird. But this, I think it was because they're associated with certain things. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was always kind of weird how that was with everything, and but you know what though, this is Fort Meade. I mean, there's a lot of this other ones too. I think it was just at the time. It is strange though. I mean,
it is. Yeah. I mean, I wish they would rename them, but yeah, Fort I think it probably factors into the era it was too, the Lost Cause. That's when it was called, the war between the states.
Yeah.
I
was always thinking, Chris, I was thinking like a Roy Stone hates Chapman Biddle t-shirt too. That was another one I was thinking about.
Jacob wants a shirt of the Photoshop that you did for him.
Which, the wrestling one? Yeah.
How about one of Ireland? I did the same things as Chamberlain and more importantly, ...
Well, we've talked about David Ireland, the 137th New York Mayor. We've talked about him many, many times. And I mean, I think the reality though is because of the movie, he gets a lot of credit from what he was. You could have made that movie just as easily about Culpsil, but you had to focus.
Yeah. But they're going by the Killer Angels, right? Which he focuses on.
Michael Shara, he focused. That's who he chose to focus on.
Exactly.
He could have done it very easily. Now, you could have easily made. But look, the movie is long enough as it is. But you couldn't put a Colville, or you couldn't put a I mean, there was very little on Oak Hill about that. There's very little on Culp's Hill. You could have. I mean, anybody who. But that's why you read this stuff and you learn more about it, and just well beyond that. But yeah, there are people who think that Chamberlain, and I like Chamberlain.
I do too.
It's less than the 16th, but I think he, I think he gets a lot more credit. And that's because he wrote those books afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got a voice in history, whereas as we discussed, like Tilden doesn't have that voice in history.
He basically wrote about what he wanted in an overall thing. That's kind of what it was. That's all.
Yeah. Ryan says he'll share Breakfast Club gloves merch with me. Team Carney, Team Howard.
Yeah, we'll do that. I mean, it'd be fun to have some of that stuff out there.
Jonathan's got a good there. Dan Sickles' Third Corps Drinking Club T-shirt. You put the barn on that one.
Yeah. God, can you? Oh my God,
Christopher said, or the extra in Gettysburg. Seems to me like we're the back door. Everything's going through the front door.
Oh, there's that too. And the Union Army, and then the line from Vincent, the Army be taken from the rear. That's that whole thing.
Allie B, brag real winner that everyone can get behind. Oh, that was painful to write.
I think it'd be kind of cool, like a Dan Sickles Salient Cafe or something like that, or a bar and tavern type T-shirt would be fun to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Salient Cafe.
But that can be fun to do. But we'll do that stuff, and we'll have a lot of that stuff of it. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
We're just kind of scratching the surface of this time. So, yeah, Joseph, thanks for jumping on, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Go have fun walking the dog, and Happy New Year to you as well. Don't be a stranger. Definitely come back. We do this every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So we just get together and hang out and talk Civil War with the rest of our fellow nerdlings.
And Jonathan said Fort Lee for Fort Kearney.
There's a lot of things you could change forts to. You could. I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Allie B wants to give Meade some more screen time. And whining about how
just like that picture.
That could be merch where we actually draw like lasers coming out of his eyes.
Yeah, God. Well, I mean, it was funny because he had the old the whole bug-eyed snapping turtle. So whoever drew that picture probably had something against me, which is kind of funny.
But you know what else is funny about that picture is if you look in the background on the bed, there's like Warren's laying there like this on the bed. And I tweeted it a couple years ago. And I had it like captioned this, Warren is saying like, I called that one fuckers on the round tops. Because he's laying in bed. He's like this in bed. He's posing like Rose in Titanic.
Al, you're right. That picture was strange. But again, that goes to show the agendas of whoever wrote that. Whoever wrote that you could tell is not a me guy. You can tell by looking at the generals who painted that or drew it, what they thought about the generals.
Because I'm pretty sure that's the one where Warren's like that.
Yeah. I mean, what we know about Warren now, it probably makes sense,
Oh, it does, yeah. Posing like Rose from Titanic.
Speaking of red tube, Reb tube, yeah. But that picture is pretty funny though. But I think it's interesting though to look at all that stuff and just see the agendas of these people. And that's the thing you notice most about this stuff is when you study these and you read. We like I mentioned Guelzo a while ago.
Yeah.
Is what's behind the people, the intentions of the people who write this stuff.
Yeah, that's what you always.
They're all about,
You've all like the one thing. Like you've always said is like always question what you read, right? And that's what I do, always questioning stuff. And that's why I've been like going to I find myself using Howard's memoirs. Obviously I'm biased in that, but a lot more for some of these episodes, and I'm getting a different perspective of certain things.
I remember when I was younger, I'd read these books. I'd read Sears, or I'd read, and like, well, this is the way it was, right?
Yeah.
They explained it, and then you read other stuff, and you go, wait a second, I'm reading this Harry Fonz guy now, and he says it's different. Then I'm like, wait a second, then there's Connington saying this now, and now Guelzo's saying this is just the Gettysburg, and you realize there are different things. Then you read the memoirs, and you realize depending on who you read, you're getting their complete spin on it.
Oh, it's a different story. It's a different story. It's you could have 100 people in the same room as Sherman said, and as they also said in the Killing Lincoln documentary, you could have 100 people in the same room, and you're going to get a different story about what happened from every single person.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about it, though. Yeah.
but that's why you got to keep reading, you know.
Exactly. Jacob, I've been questioning a lot of what I'm hearing here, and like RebTube, does that count?
Yeah, RebTube, God, never that one down. God's sakes, yeah, definitely don't pull up that one in front of the kids. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no. Alec says, my favorite is how Gettysburg was the site of Camp Colt in 1918 for the first Tank Corps. Eisenhower was in command. That's another thing about Gettysburg that people don't realize is it was used in World War One and I think World War Two, right? Like for training and stuff.
For tank, that's what Camp
Yeah.
the camp train. That's why people who want to like metal detect in the pick a charge field, it's insane because all you're gonna find is tank parts.
Yeah.
For the most part.
You mean you won't find Legos there anymore?
You all know the plastic.
I guess they're all right. Yeah, metal.
But it's okay. I'm here to help there. But you know what? Yeah, exactly. But you know, one of my friends is a ranger there, and he talks about metal tech all the time. He's like, you know, people don't realize this is the worst place to do it. He goes, if you want, you may spend 6 hours, you might find a bullet. He goes, where you want, if you want a metal detect, you go off the field during the escape route, heading towards South Mountain. Yeah, that on the side of those roads, like our friend Bill, we found all kinds of shit at his house.
That's so cool,
right? So our friend Bill, who he is going to join us for an episode. We talk about Freemasonry at Gettysburg, and at some point he's going to come on.
Yeah,
and so he has a house right near the first shot marker on Knoxland Road, right across from that cemetery over there, that little airport. And so we go over there. We'll get a case of beer. We'll metal detect in his yard for the day. We will seriously.
I would love to do that. I'd love that.
Oh, it's so much fun. So we found bullets. We found a belt buckle. I found glasses.
Yeah, those glasses are so cool that you found.
We found you know, buttons. Found a Confederate Navy button on his yard.
That is so cool.
And so we go out there, and we just you know go get a case of Yingling, pull it out, and just start the metal detector. I'm talking about Mary again, embarrassing the children, and we'll find all. What the hell's your deal today? Well, we'll find all this stuff, but it is pretty cool. But that's where you find it though. But you know what they did too, Mary, is Chambersburg Pike. They dug up the road and repaved it, and a lot of the stuff they pushed to the sides. Yeah. So if you were to go on the sides of the roads and you were to metal detect, that's where you find everything.
Oh, it's a metal detector's dream to go there, I think. You know. Hi, Andrea.
Oh, what's up there, Andrea Pike? Welcome. I hope you had a great Christmas. Saw some of your Christmas pictures online, so it was very exciting. You
know. Ryan says, RebTube, the South will rise again. I started with several other converted Civil War movies and stories, but then I realized it's dark in the UK, but it's still morning in the US, so not everyone is drunk, and I know how Weeks aspires to keep this family friendly.
Hey, I try.
I'm why we have the explicit rating. I'm not the one that said backdoor Savannah, though. Keep that in mind.
Jim says, the glasses from the battle. You know what I should do? Sorry to jump in. What I'll do, I have them at work. I'll tweet a picture. What they are, Andrew, they're old, like those old timey glasses with the glasses are still in them. But you know, let me tell you some of the stuff we found in his property. Okay, I think they're either from the battle or left behind. But we found a metal can that had 3 $5 Confederate bills in it. Is that cool?
That's so cool.
And the can was all rotted, but it was contained, it was protected. And so we found that it's like 15 Confederate dollars we found. I think the glasses are from the battle, actually, because they're bifocals. We found them along sides of the bullets and the buttons. So it's that era. And his house actually was a former hospital that was used during the retreat. So if you read Masterson's book, we talked about every house along that road that was there was used. And he actually, Mary, you know that I've seen pictures, he actually has stairs with blood on them.
Yeah, that's...
Where the soldiers would wait to go upstairs, have their stuff amputated. You can see the blood on the stairs. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Antietam, and she's got a blood stain on her floor because her house was used as, in Sharpsburg, was used as one of the hospitals. It was a Confederate hospital afterwards.
Very neat.
Christopher says he can't get Black Iron Mercy. It won't ship to Scranton.
I wonder why.
Well, that's weird.
You know what you should do in all seriousness, Chris? Let me just pull up this book here. Okay.
See you, Jacob.
You know what? See you, Jake. Have a great weekend. pull up this book by the author. I think he has a website. You probably can order directly through him. I bet you can.
Yeah.
This Eric Schlein. Pull up the book in Google, and I bet you can order directly through him, because I think that's how I got it. I think I went to his website and bought the book.
I bought mine off Amazon.ca.
Yeah, well, I think it's okay, but I think
if you can't get it, Christopher, just email us and we'll try and hook you up with that.
Yeah, but I think we can get one of the other. But I think if you go on to his website, because I think that's where I got it a few years ago. I think you could order directly through him, or you could you could probably even email him and find us. He could probably send you a copy. You probably buy it online or something.
It's so weird that I'm pretty sure I either got it off Amazon.ca or Indigo, which is a Canadian book company. Now it's funny, Indigo has Asia Booth's book, which I still need to order because apparently I forgot to hit order the last time. Amazon.ca doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's weird. Who knows?
Fuck, my country's weird sometimes. Weird.
But definitely, yeah, Chris, let us know if you can't get it. We'll find a way to get it to you, because I think you definitely want to read that one, definitely.
Oh, it's also $2.99 as an ebook. So yeah, if you're into ebooks are definitely a way to go. Christopher said, I'll be back. Let me try. Yeah, Amazon just flagged it and said it can't ship to you. That is weird.
Let's not be Office fans, Mary. Don't like Scranton.
Is that where the Battle of Shute Farms come from?
Just north of Scranton. Yeah, just north of it.
Allie K said, fun fact, I worked at Chapters part-time when I lived in Canada. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Chapters is now Indigo. So that's like our version of Barnes and Noble or Borders, which used to be an amazing bookstore.
I will say it is very cool that people are buying these books, especially because I mean, seriously, I think, in all honesty, I think we're all cut from the same cloth with this stuff. Yeah. That if Mary and I like the book, you guys will all like it. It's just a good, fun read. It's very educational.
It is, yeah. It's really good, and the characters, like, I love Arliss. He's such a good character, and I was reading for quite a bit. Like on a Friday night on Christmas Day, I go to bed at like 10 o'clock. I read for I think a good hour Black Iron Mercy last night. Really good.
It's just a good read, and you can see for people who've received it or started to read it, you can see why we suggest this book. It's just
they're all really good books, and we hope you guys enjoy them as much as we have. Admittedly, I have not read I've flipped through the Gettysburg or the Retreat from Gettysburg book, and it is very well written. Kent Masterson Brown also has a book about General Meade too, that I don't know if it's been released or it's going to be released soon. Yeah, I want to get that one as well to read. Wayne said, I went to preschool in Spring Hill for a little while. My first day I had a meltdown, and one of the ladies showed me around the Cheers home, which had been Earl Van Dorn's HQ when Dr. Peters shot him. So my first day of preschool, I saw Civil War bloodstain. Earl Van Dorn, that story is hilarious.
Probably wasn't the only stain there. Dr. Peters, my goodness gracious. Still what a great story, though.
Isn't that the one where he was taking the guy's wife to the bang barn? And
he was, and then he walked up to her and said, hey, General Dorn, can you sign my pass, get me through the line? He's like, sure, signs it, and then he pulls out a gun and kills him and uses the pass to escape. I love that. Fucking forward thinking, But this real quick, I know the book closes my head now. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that, because I think when we do these, so we don't have a date. We'll pick a date for it, but I think and it's not gonna replace our monthly roundtable.
No, we're still gonna have our monthly roundtable third Wednesday of every month. The book club meeting will be 4 times a year, last week of the month, basically.
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll pick a date and do that, and try to have a set schedule with that, like that Thursday or whatever. Yeah, we'll pick. But these books, though, and if you go to the website civilwarbreakfastclub.com, Mary, if you go on the website, the books are there in case you forget. We'll tweet the books again later on, but it was fun. What's the story? Haven't heard that, Pike? You talking about the Van Dorn story? You haven't heard that story?
It's
really?
So
this is right up your alley, Andrew. You haven't heard this one?
It's up there with Sickles and Barton Key.
All right, so I assume that's the story she's talking about. So we'll tell it again. So basically, Earl Van Dorn was he was a ladies' man. He would take full advantage. Okay, he was he had a permanent seat at the bang barn. Okay. And he was hooking up with this guy's wife, this guy, Dr. Peters, okay? And Dr. Peters apparently didn't like it too much. So he decided he was going to kill him. So what he did was he went to visit him, and before he walked in there, because he basically said, he wanted to escape. So he had Van Dorn sign a pass for him before, to escape, to get through the Confederate lines, to get out. Kind of like a weekend furlough type pass. Will you sign my pass so I can leave? Yes. So he signs the pass. He pulls out a gun. He kills Van Dorn for fooling around with his wife, and then uses the pass to escape. There's the story. So there you go.
Straight up there with Sickles and Barton Key.
That one though is different because first of all, Sickles shot him like 48 times and hit him
once. He did.
Okay?
And part of the fence from where he shot him at is at Gettysburg.
So he was like a Star Wars stormtrooper with his accuracy.
Oh yeah.
But that's that whole story, that whole thing.
Imagine him chasing him through Washington. You see
who, Sickles
running through Washington chasing Barton Key for banging his wife.
Yeah, that'd be a kind of a weird thing with that whole thing. Yeah. So Andrea, tell that story at the next your Christmas party, when if you're New Year's Eve parties, people are going to kick out of that.
These are the awkward stories I tell at Christmas gatherings when it's not a pandemic. Anybody heard of like Van Dorn, Sickles and Barton?
It's. I mean, you know what? They're regular people. That's the thing about it, is you humanize these people and you read these stories, and that's exactly who they are.
But the funny thing about Sickles is that he's defended by Stanton, and then Stanton does the shit he does with the Lincoln assassination.
Well, Stanton was a bad guy.
He was. I hate him.
Sucks.
You heard it here. I hate Stanton. I cannot stand him at all. He was a good Secretary of War, and he handled things really well in the hours following the assassination, but he was an asshole.
Yeah. Wow.
He was.
He was. So, it was one of those deals. But the book club will be fun, though. I think we'll have a good time with that, and it'd be fun to do that. And hopefully everybody reads the books we do. And if you don't, just come on anyway, sign up for it. We haven't rolled it on a new website yet because user error situations. But I think for now we have. It's not just you. Give me the look. It's just.
Did you say we haven't rolled out our new website yet? We have rolled it out. I announced it yesterday.
No, I mean the email.
Oh yes, yeah, yes, that's right.
Yeah, the email. Yeah, we haven't figured out how to get the email going.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, I'll try and get that figured out today. But yeah, the website is there, and we've got lots of fun plans for it. And that's what I spent a lot of Christmas Eve working on, was the website, when I wasn't having virtual beers.
Oh, looks like Chris was able to get the book after all.
Awesome.
Okay. No, but no, it's it'd be good because I've admittedly never been in a book club because I just never have.
Neither. We do them on Rail Splitter, but we do them a bit differently in that we discuss it over 3 episodes. So every few chapters we'll have an episode and discuss it. So we do it that's how we do it on Rail Splitter. But I also like the way that we're doing it here, where we're all just going to read the book, who's ever going to be part of it, and then we'll have a Zoom meeting to talk about it and all that.
Yes, everybody will be on. It'll be live. It'll be real stuff.
Yeah.
What you like, what you don't like. I think people are going to like the books though, and I think people are going to like that first one. Just because it's a good, easy, fun read, and it's really informative, and the author does a great job at that. So we'll definitely get those tweeted out anyway, in case we haven't mentioned it 50,000 friggin' times. But we'll go ahead and we'll email the stuff again.
Yeah, and the next one about the March to the Sea is really good too. It's all about the march in historical memory. And then Assassin's Accomplices, really, really good as well, about Mary Surratt. And then finally, Retreat from Gettysburg, which I haven't read yet, other than flipping through it and reading a few paragraphs here and there. What's good
about that book, we were talking before about Guelzo, right? We brought that up earlier. We went on that half an hour rant about Guelzo. But this book really absolves Meade as far as that whole, he was asleep at the switch, let them escape and all that stuff. Because you can tell by reading the detail. First of all, he did chase Lee. Okay, he did.
Yep.
And, we had the Battle of Monterey Pass. You had Williamsport. You had all that stuff. You didn't know. They talk a lot about how Jeb Stuart wasn't there for the eyes and the ears of the Confederacy. They didn't have the eyes and ears either. And they had the cavalry, but they didn't know what Lee's intentions were. And they really thought he was going to defend South Mountain and just attack anybody who came. And if they did, they would have slaughtered anybody. It would have been like Fredericksburg times 10.
Yeah.
And Meade knew that. Meade knew, he absolutely knew. And so he was smart to be a little more cautious. So you can't really blame him for that. He did get there to a point and was going to attack, and he didn't, which kind of makes him look a little bad. But again, at that point, half of them were already across anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. But you know what, though? And I was reading on Facebook today, Mayor, this morning, and there was a big debate on one of these Civil War sites about whether Gettysburg, the campaign, was a success for the Confederacy. And I've said it was. I've said it was all along because of what their goals were.
Exactly.
And that this book really explained. When you read this book, you'll see that point about how what Lee ultimately wanted was to resupply his army.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to leave Pennsylvania, get back into Virginia with all those supplies and his army for the most part intact, it sustained them for the rest of 1863. Where if they stayed in Virginia, they would have got starved out. So so it depends on what you look at for excess, but that's what it was.
We have a few comments and questions here too. So Ryan says, Stanton looks after his friends. I want my friend to get me off murder, Sickles, or brutally deal with my assassins, Lincoln. I say that having not read William Marvel's book on Stanton, which is on the shelf behind me. There's another book about Stanton too by, I think it's Walter Starr. And I honestly tried to read it and I got like a quarter of the way through and it was just, I found it boring and I just didn't care. It was just not a good read at all.
Yeah. Mike says, didn't Stanton first say Lincoln, now he belongs to the Angels and some, here's the story with that, Mike. There was a shorthand guy named James Tanner, okay, who was in the room. He was a Confederate Union paraplegic. He lived right near Ford's Theater. They brought him in to take notes shorthand of what it was. And when Lincoln died, Stanton said, now he belongs to the Angels or Eagle. But Tanner's words say, now he belongs to the A.N. and his pencil broke. And then he never finished what he wrote. Yeah. And so most people think he said angels, but now it says ages. Mm-hmm. And so most people think it was angel, but ages does sound better. But that's the story. Yeah. It's because of a pencil breaking. It brings up that question. But James Tanner, that was the story.
They show that in the documentary Killing Lincoln. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Watch that.
Okay. I don't remember the detail. Yeah.
We just watched it recently.
Yeah, right. I've read that. Yes. Okay.
Do you remember the night we watched it?
I remember watching it.
And you kept going on after, like, I don't know why they're focusing on Tanner so much.
They shouldn't have. I mean,
that's what you said.
But that's the true story though. That's the truth though. That's what happened.
Andrea said, didn't Meade piss Lincoln off with the pursuit of Lee? He did. So right after the battle, like when Meade doesn't go after Lee right away, Lincoln writes this letter, but he never sends it. And it's basically saying, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed, which is always so much worse when you hear that from your parents, right?
Those are fun letters to get.
Yeah. He never sends it.
But I mean, I get those letters from your parents. That's my entire childhood right there.
That's my childhood too.
Darren, imagine my surprise. But Meade, Lincoln was pissed that he hasn't Tatum in his head. Lincoln does. So he's thinking, but Lincoln hadn't been there yet. So he doesn't understand the topography. He doesn't understand what they just went through. First of all, the Union Army got pretty wrecked pretty good at Gettysburg.
Yeah, Hancock is wounded, Gibbon's wounded, Reynolds is dead.
I mean, they lost a lot of guys. They lost 25,000. They had a tough time too, but Lincoln just didn't understand why he didn't. And that's the other thing here. You hear all these some of these people talk about is after the attack, why didn't Meade go back across that field and attack, which would have been the stupidest thing to do?
Yeah, he's got a broken army.
Well, the Rebs had 30,000 guys that were still available. I mean, they had a lot of reserve. They just didn't use them. I mean, they had 15,000 guys at the PPT. Yeah, you know. And so
had a group pick a Trimble.
Yeah, exactly. So it would have been done. And so Lincoln was pissed off that he didn't go and follow him, just attack him. But he doesn't understand there's a gigantic Blue Mountain range between him and Virginia that he could have gone up and hid and fortified and waited. And that's what Meade thought. That's what Meade really thought he was going to do. And I would have thought the same thing. Why wouldn't anybody? Right? Yeah. And so, Lincoln was pissed off about that, but he didn't send the letter because I think he realized it at some point that's what
Lincoln was known to, like, I mean, that is one of many positive things about Lincoln. as a human and as a leader is that he would write these letters to kind of get stuff off his chest. So he's basically writing the email, but he's not sending it, and he's coming back to it. And I think he had, like I said earlier in this live, that's when he had his huge, oh my God, I need to back the fuck off from these guys moment, because Meade is in the same position that McClellan was. And McClellan had been writing him saying, I can't move. Like, my army is, we're starving. We need to regroup. And, I don't have enough like horses for the cavalry because the horses are tired and all this other stuff. But you have others after Antietam, like Meade, as well after Antietam, writing to his wife and saying, we're not in a good position right now to even pursue, and Washington's pressuring us. So I think Lincoln had this kind of like, holy fuck, I need to back off moment. Meanwhile, he's writing to Grant in Vicksburg saying, oh my God, good for you. I didn't think you could do it, but look at you, you did it. And he's basically smacking Meade, saying like, why the fuck aren't you doing more, without realizing the position that he's in?
You also have a lot of the Union horses were coming out with hoof and mouth disease, Mary. It doesn't get publicized a lot. So a lot of the cavalry stuff are limited with their horses. If the pencil broke, and I might have got the letter. It might have been just the A, Andrea, but whatever it was, I know Andrea, but whatever it was, it got cut off, and people assume it was probably just the A, because it was A, and they probably would have. You're right, probably would have said Angels, so busted balls, but it was, but that's a true story though. That the pencil broke while they're writing. That's why it says that. Okay. A just sounds better than Angels, so it probably goes to that. I mean, who knows? But
it does. Regarding that letter, Jim said, I can't tell you how many times I've used Lincoln's hot letters as an example to write out your anger and frustration, stick it in a drawer or your draft folder for 24 hours and reread it. And if you still feel the same way, send it. If you have cooled down, then do not send it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, how many emails have you sent like that? God knows I do all the time, especially work emails, where I'll sit there and rage email and go, just wait a second and wait till the next day and send it.
I've done that on occasion. Yeah.
And so, but you can see him. But like we were saying, going back to this whole thing we talked about with this podcast with Sherman, you really see the difference in Lincoln when he lesson learned by the time he gets to 1864, when he gets to Christmas time, because he at that point he's like, you know what, you're the boss, do whatever the hell you want. And I could just see McClellan just sitting there going, you fucking asshole.
You fucker.
It was after the election of 64.
Yeah, so he's like, you fucker more than ever.
So he's like, why wouldn't you give me that respect when all I asked for was to trust my judgment? Now, McClellan's not Sherman. Look, whatever, he's not. But I'm saying is conceptually, it's the same concept though, right? It's like, well, why in the world? But Lincoln learned. Right? He learned through experience that he had to stay back, and he put a lot of trust in Sherman and Grant for allowing him to make that march. Yeah. And when it pulled it off, he's like, you know what? I'm going to step back. And you know what happened less than a year later? The war ended, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because Lincoln kind of stepped back, they're able to get all this stuff done. Allie said, what did Allie B say here? I think Meade kind of got the message from Halleck, he didn't need the letter from Lincoln to know that they weren't all too happy with what happened. And she said it probably didn't help that Lincoln was already speaking with Sickles and others who were telling their side of the story and saying that Meade wasn't aggressive enough. Exactly. And then Meade gets hauled before the Council of War, or the Joint Committee for the Conduct of War, which, as we discussed in the Battle of Ball's Bluff, was every general's worst nightmare. Which factors into their decision making too, right? They might be thinking like, oh fuck, if I make this and I fuck it up, I'm going to get hauled before the Joint Committee, which is a very biased committee because it's made up of mainly like Republicans and all that, who like are going to be biased in their judgments.
What that committee basically did is it guaranteed you weren't too overly aggressive and you weren't too overly passive, right? They want to be right in the middle. Because if you're over aggressive and you fuck it up, or if you're too passive and you fuck up, you're going to get hauled in front of them. And people don't realize what a big deal that was.
Ball's Bluff Bluff, and what happened after that was a huge deal. Like in Sherman's memoirs for recounting the March to the Sea, he actually references Ball's Bluff at one point, because there was a point he had to make a decision as to whether he was going to attack something, and he says, I didn't want this to turn into a Ball's Bluff at this point in the war. Which, by that point, that battle's got a reputation, and it's a battle that doesn't get talked about a lot, but clearly it's in the minds of every single general that's fighting in the Eastern and Western theater.
Well, it had to be. It's like having an overbearing boss sitting over you at your job. Like when you're making those blizzards at the old DQ.
Exactly,
about,
yes, and
right?
I fuck it up.
I mean, and you fuck it up, you don't want to listen to it. So you're going to make sure that blizzard's in there nice and firm, And so it's those Kincardine people, they take their DQ seriously, man. you know.
Ryan said, I prefer David Hunter's strategy. Write out your angry letter and then have it published to the national press. In the old army, he went out on patrol and saved Jeff Davis's patrol, who got lost and was without food and water. During the war, Davis found out Hunter was leading contrabands and sentenced Hunter to death should he be captured. Hunter felt that a tad unjust. His 2 open letters to Davis are epic reads.
Well, I mean, when we talk about Ebenezer Creek, about how there was that story at the national press, and that's what got Halleck and Stanton all going and pissed off. But another one is, what he's talking about too. Another one besides David Hunter is Ambrose Wright, right? Mm-hmm. Where his advance at Gettysburg, it didn't work out the way he did because he thought Perry under David Lang's brigade didn't do, they never made it. So he went back and he was writing letters, and he wrote a letter to his wife bashing the Floridians that he leaked to the press that got back. And that's how it was, though.
She's getting all fired up there, Weeks.
I gotta keep my hands above
Mike says, good thing they didn't have reply all in the Civil War. And then Wayne said, imagine Bragg responding to an accidental organization-wide chain email. All those who reply will be shot.
Isn't a reply email the worst thing in the world, though? Isn't there nothing worse?
He never uses reply all.
But you get back to work and you see your emails. You get 87 emails and it's all reply to all. It's like, fuck off. It's like,
fuck, just hit reply.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how that was. But
Christopher, Ambrose Wright, LOL.
Ambrose Wright. I mean, what's funny about him though is he had this long mullet that he had, right? He did. And so he got a bullet through there. I think it was at Gettysburg. It went right through his mullet. You can see the hole that went right through his mullet. But he got all the way to Cemetery Hill. East Cemetery, right at the angle. And he got up there and he was pissed because you had Lang to his right had already evacuated the dance floor. The music ended and they were gone, right? You had Posey's Mississippians who never even made the march. And forget Mahone's Virginians. They didn't even start. So he was there by himself. And a lot of people think, and the Lee people think, the reason why Pickett's charge happened was because he knew that Wright got there.
Yeah.
And he was not supported. If they got there and they did support, then they would take the hill. So Wright's reports back, because he was pissed off because Richard Anderson, who was his division commander, he wasn't there. He was literally at a picnic drinking Madeira, Mary, one of your favorite drinks, right? Off the battlefield. And because of that, it filled his head, and it ended not being true because there was nobody who was going to hold that position if they got there. But a lot of people think that's why Lee made Pickett's charge, was because of Ambrose Wright's story that he got there and wasn't supported. And if I was supported, we could take it. So there you go. Who knows?
Christopher said he did Pickett's charge all by himself and won, had control for an extended period of time and had to leave. I call BS. Group texts, which Jim mentions, are the worst. Allie says it's an awful never-ending cycle. Can you imagine the generals being on group texts and then one of them accidentally sends to it? Like if it's Sherman Grant, Sheridan, Meade, and they've got a group text going about what the cavalry is going to do, and then Sheridan accidentally texts the group instead of Grant, says like, this fucker Meade won't let me go after Stuart.
Oh, I know. I think if you reply to a reply all and it's something stupid, I think you automatically are at that moment the worst person in the world.
Oh, Andrea,
just don't do it.
If you leave the group, you're pegged as a dick. Yeah,
that's something too.
I've shut one off, but I'm actually going to leave the group today.
Which group is this?
Oh, it's just with some people I went to high school with.
Oh, like I'm talking about email. You mean text message? Oh yeah, we're all involved in these group text things. You and I are involved, Mary. Oh my God. But it's fun to do. But the reply emails at work. We had someone in our office who was going to I don't know what the story was, but something happened around Christmas time. She was going on vacation somewhere, and it turned into one of the. Oh no, you know what it was? It was someone's 10-year anniversary, and everybody in my company where I work at responded to it, reply all. And it must have been 150 emails. And I feel like going back to them and saying, fuck you, send reply all. Just after all.
That's what Braxton Bragg would do. Could you imagine the email if, they had email back in Chattanooga and Bragg was sending the email about what to do the next day. And he's CCing BCC everybody. And then DHL says, I didn't get the email.
Well, that's where you get carried. That's where you get the BCC thing. I don't trust that though.
Neither do I. I don't trust
I don't.
BCC either.
Well, it was like when we did those text messages after Atlanta, Mary, with a podcast.
Oh
Remember?
yeah,
We
those
did
were
that.
so much fun.
But I don't trust the BCC thing. Especially work emails.
I don't either. Allie B says, yes, this dumb old snapping turtle is holding me back. Oh, Phil, everyone can see this. And I'm sure Sheridan would just go off and not care about it. Meade would probably throw his phone across the room. Fuck that.
God. The text message between Rhodes and Heath. How that would go.
And Pettigrew. Dude,
Dude,
it's a whole fucking army.
Well, Pettigrew, they'd be like, I got this text with Pettigrew. It's in some language I don't fucking know. So I think he says go forward. I don't know what that. Something French. Like I got this French calendar recently, Mary. That was all in French. I can't fucking read the goddamn thing. So he probably would have got that message from exactly. Jata for what? Okay, go forward. I guess I don't know what that means.
And Christopher said Stonewall Jackson court martials everyone for using reply all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he was mad at AP Hill.
Oh, Garnett hated him for that. Obviously, AP Hill did. Garnett. Garnett gets still get court-martial for freaking Kernstown. He tried to blame him for Kernstown, Mary.
And getting stuck in a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
LAB John Rollins can't find Grant for 5 seconds, and he texts like 10 times, and Grant is like, "I'm hanging out with Sherman."
I think Grant probably would have had the decency to respond and not make him wonder if he disappeared off the planet for an entire night. I think he probably would have done that. I think he probably, if he was concerned, he messaged him. He probably would have said, "Hey, let me know everything's cool." And if he didn't respond for the whole night, he probably would have been concerned. I'm going to give a pass on that one. But yeah, I could see the overall. Overall point.
Grant drops off the face of the earth, and Rollins assumes he's drunk.
Oh, he's in a ditch somewhere.
Exactly.
That's okay. But he'd be like, "It's okay. I just passed out, so I'm fine." That's probably what it says.
Andrea Pettigrew texts in Aramaic.
Oh my God.
Text in Aramaic. Hey, I think there's a whole army here.
Pig Latin.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like Pettigrew would have texted Heath and said there's a whole army, and then Heath would have went through and deleted them all.
Well, after the fact.
Because I'm sorry, you don't take 8,000 guys if you think it's just a militia.
Well, that whole thing, though, I think we said this either. Was it last week's live?
It was last week on the live, yeah.
Where he knew Pettigrew was right, and I think what he saw was the opportunity to take a division in and destroy the army, take over the city, and be the hero, the guy who conquered a city. I think our town. I think that had to have been what it was. But
Pettigrew, but the sad thing is like Pettigrew is just like a rising star at this point, right? And he's about to get killed in a week, and he's telling them like this is what I'm seeing, and they're like, fuck his opinion, but let's just still take 8,000 guys, even if it is just a militia. Like Sherman's favorite emoji is fire, and the middle finger when dealing with Hood.
Definitely. But the heat thing though, I mean that's I'm telling you that I have to think that's exactly what that was though, and the whole shoes thing is always funny too. But what was funny about when you read a lot of the diaries and they talk about like back in that era when they said go take those shoes, it was the equivalent of today's go kick their ass, right? So it'll be like kick ass, take names. It would be like go beat them and steal their shoes.
Yeah.
So when a lot of these guys were talking about let's go to Gettysburg and get their shoes, they mean kick their asses with the militia, but people think they meant it was go there and find shoes. That's where that comes from, by the way. If you read the diaries, I'm telling you, it is that vernacular existed back then, and it was a bravado thing. Yeah. But people think it was about going there into like some shoe factory. It was basically let's go there and kick their asses. But that's probably where the shoes thing comes from.
Yeah, my mom still tells me it was fought over shoes, and I try to explain, no, this is why it was fought. Wayne says, I'm cracking up imagining Forrest on horseback somewhere in West Tennessee cursing his shitty Android phone in this stupid cricket service as he tries to send Wheeler more catty texts.
Oh yeah, you try to use that one app that's supposed to save your battery on the Android. It doesn't do anything,
Beauregard's phone is always broken. Jeff Davis just keeps saying fewer and better phones.
Exactly.
He just wanted to get more newspaper for his ill-fitted hat.
Jeb Stewart's riding around, Maryland, airplane mode on. Fuck you.
He just puts airplane mode on.
I'm not listening to this fucker.
I was in airplane mode the entire time. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened.
Didn't know.
I didn't know. Andrea, watch. I'm gonna ruffle Mare's feathers. Howard's favorite emoji is.
Ooh. Wow. This is a cat fight situation now.
That's when Hooker's like texting him, Howard, what's going on there at Chancellorsville? And he gets back this.
Well, you know what kind of phone service Howard used, right, Mare?
Oh,
Sprint.
Poor Howard. But yeah, I can see him giving that a lot. Like, what's going on over there? And he gets like 10 times.
Sorry, I was too busy watching the movie The Running Man. I couldn't make it. Sorry.
How's it going in East Cemetery Hill? He texts back to Meade.
It's funny though, and I was mentioning these soldier diaries, and there are so many good ones to read. What the hell is the one? I don't know if it's the small one or it's the Elihu Rhodes one. Where's Frail, by the way? Speaking of, I haven't seen him today.
No, he's not.
No, that's okay. But there's one diary that a soldier wrote, and I forget what the hell one is. It was in Gettysburg, and they talked about the Union guys being in the cemetery in Evergreen, and he wrote back this one soldier wrote to his mother. We're okay. We spent the night, in the cemetery, but we were okay. And she wrote back to him, I hope you were being brave and not hiding behind the gravestones. And he responded back to her and says, no, we couldn't. That's where all the officers were hiding. But you know what? But the thing is, it's true. Well, he's writing to his mother. Why would he lie? Yeah. But that's what's cool about reading this stuff is you get a good insight into these whole stories
that they had and all that too, right? There was someone. Christopher said Howard's favorite emoji is some guy running.
Oh yeah, exactly. Running man, exactly.
Sickles is a peach. That's what Andrea said.
Oh,
yeah, you can see like
a peach orchard.
Meade sends him a message the morning of July the 2nd. Hey fucker, where are you? And Meade just texts back a bunch of peaches.
A peach on the fire, the sad face.
Peach. No, that's what Meade sends him a text later on after Longstreet attacks. Oh, how's it going? Peach fire, sad face.
Like, Sickles text Charles Graham. How's everything going up there? It's peach orchard, fire, skull, sad face. Fuck. That's what Graham would have sent back to him. But go to the peach orchard, go deal with Barksdale for a couple hours.
Wayne said Pickett was on airplane mode at Five Forks.
It was.
The shad bake. Must have been bad reception, the shad bake. Wasn't that where the acoustic shadow was too?
Well, that's how you eat shad with five forks.
He leaves an idiot in charge, basically. He comes back.
Well, you know what? The acoustic shadow thing, but it's funny though because that whole issue with Five Forks, Mary, was apparently Lee wanted him fired, and like the text message never got through because he wasn't fired. And there's that story where Pickett's walk is on his horse going back the other way, and one of those Lee's going this way and Pickett's going this way, and they have one of those moments, and they will by each other.
Where are you then?
And Lee tells Moxley Sorrell, what is that man still doing with this army? So he's like, what the? I can't even fire guys now?
He's like, where have you been? Oh, Andrea. Yeah, so she says, Schimmel whatever. So Schimmel Fenning, a pig emoji. Or Schimmel Fenning.
Oh, Schimmel Fenning. That's the real mud march right there.
Meade puts do not disturb on Sickles' text in the morning.
That's actually a pretty good idea for some different things we can go about with
that. That is actually. Can you imagine some of the texts on the March to the Sea?
Yeah, I mean it'd be some good ones. I mean, the Ebenezer Creek one, there's all kinds of ones you can go about with that,
Sherman, what are you doing over there, General Reb? Or the names that they would have for, how you have the Facebook chat and you can rename people? Yeah. The one between like Sherman, Howard, and Slocum would probably be and then Sherman would have some kind of fire thing, and Slocum would be just like slow.
What's the one I have in that one?
The one that we have. I can't remember.
I forget what it was. Because
there's something a burb, Mary. Because we keep going in and changing it on each other.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But,
you're the artist formerly known as Darren.
Oh, that's right. That's good. Shane, that's all. Yeah. The artist formerly known as Darren. But that's pretty good. But it's funny though. I mean, it just kind of goes back, bringing this to some sort of history thing, I guess.
Well, it's still a history because it's
speaking of history, flag. But hey, look, Andrea, look, it's Lincoln. It's not Lincoln, by the way.
Munich.
Yeah, exactly. But you joke about it, but this is the communications they had, right? And people assume, why did this guy do this? Why did this guy do that? It's like, because you didn't know what the hell they were doing. They had no idea what the hell was going on. That Reynolds.
Yeah. We could see Meade texting, after Sickles sends him peach emojis, what do you mean? And Sickles just types back ...
How's it going? He writes FML cigar.
And then he texts him a selfie as he's on the stretcher.
No, he would do FML cigar ambulance emoji. that would be his message back to Meade. I fucking knew it. Iverson to Lee. Yeah, good point. It would just be whiskey, fire, whiskey.
Yeah.
FML.
Oh my God.
You know this, Mayor, but when I was in Atlanta at Oakland Cemetery, me and our friend Bill, we went to Iverson's gravestone. We did a picture of us in front of it with whiskey bottles.
I have that picture still.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was a damn good day.
Some of the texts at Chickamauga would have been epic, with Bragg and his fucking war council. Longstreet's texting him when he arrives at the station. Hello, anybody there? And Bragg deliberately puts do not disturb on any text from Longstreet.
So, yeah, definitely.
And Longstreet's typing, hello, don't know where I'm going. Could you send help? Hi, I'm now leaving the train station on my own and I'm wandering around in the woods in the dark.
Yeah.
Question mark.
And speaking of the dance floor, leaving the dance floor, you know that the Macarena was named after McClellan. You know that, right?
What?
The Macarena that's how it was named for. It's totally true. Look it up.
Christopher, Meade to Hancock when he finds out Howard is command of the field. Angry emojis. Hancock just texts back running.
Thomas question. God, look at how this thing just goes off the rails. But
it's hilarious though, because you're still talking history. Could you imagine the text between Claiborne and Cheatham after Claiborne got blamed for Spring Hill? Probably be like, the fuck is Hood doing blaming me? The hell?
Imagine Longstreet's thing. He'd have a question mark. He'd take a picture of his Waze app crashing. Can't find where the hell he is.
He's sending it to Bragg, but Bragg's got all his any messages from Longstreet are on do not disturb.
He'd be like, Longstreet, where are you? You just sent a video back of that Proclaimers 500 Miles song. He would send that back. That's right. Yeah, he goes, goddamn Samuel R. Johnston. Screw him.
Wayne said, Longstreet, what the fuck? There aren't any Ubers around here. Where are you? Bragg, new phone. Who dis?
Who does? Yeah.
Longstreet is like that dude. Bragg, hate that bitch. And then Bragg texts Polk in the morning. Why am I not hearing cannons? And then Polk texts him the picture from the rocking chair at the house. He's like, I don't know.
I'm out, dude. But could you imagine, in all seriousness, though, we talk about this. This whole thing is kind of like a big bar talk, right? Can you imagine how cool it would be to talk to these guys and just hear their stories about how the stuff they would say about each other, just hearing them. I mean, just the ball busting and the fun they would have. That'd just be so fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, what would be interesting to be a fly in the wall is that very awkward team building that Jeff Davis decides to have after Chickamauga with Bragg, where they've written that petition and they've signed it. And so they all have to gather in this room and basically say why Bragg shouldn't be in command. And then Davis is like, okay, get the fuck out. And then he says to Bragg, don't worry, I'm going to keep you in command. I trust you. I got your back. I
think I'd like to be a fly on the wall, probably where Meade runs into Sickles at the Trossel Barn. I think that's where I'd like to be. I think that'd be a fun one.
Oh my God.
You know, that if you're gonna be anywhere, that'd be the place to be.
I just see like Meade showing up and be like, so.
He'd ride up.
Yeah, with his eyes. What are you going to fucking Richmond, dude?
Well, that whole quote's hilarious. I was told I could adjust my lines, but I didn't realize the general would march on Richmond, sir. And then Meade's horse takes off towards the Confederate line, and he almost gets captured because the horse won't stop. You know, it's just so many fun stories about that stuff. That's why it's so much fun to read these stories. It's just so cool.
Jim says Lew Wallace's Google Maps sent him in the wrong direction and then recalibrated.
Yeah, it makes sense, actually.
Poor Lew Wallace. He pays for that for the rest of his life.
Well, then, he ends up writing
counter-marching and all that. And then he writes the best-selling novel, which is basically throwing shade at Grant.
Which is basically also about a bullshit conviction of a person too, which is ironic since he was on the conspirators trial. But that's the way it is.
Allie, brag to Claiborne, Shamrock, little Irish man, please save the army. Claiborne, fuck, fine.
I've seen Claiborne was all jacked. You saw that one picture, right?
Which one was? Oh yeah, he's all jacked as he's kicking Sherman's ass. He's all jacked. Actually, there is a weird statue of him where he does look really jacked. It's the one in Helena, Arkansas. Like he's got this like,
oh really?
Almost like a little head, but then his body is like, it's like the Jackson statue almost at Manassas, where he's all like.
All the Soviet statues, every one of those guys, like Lenin style, they're all jacked. Jacked. It's so funny,
Christopher's another good one. Washington encountering Charles Lee.
Fremantle swiping right on everyone in a gray uniform. Ryan, he was exclusively a John Bell Hood man, so I think he was clearly in a relationship. So I'm not sure how that was. So, but who knows?
Andrea will definitely fly in the wall for that one. Davis was brag equals. She's got the two guys, the heart, kissing with the heart between them. Yeah, Grant to Halleck after Fort Donelson. Can you hear me now?
All I can picture is that scene like where you see like Meade connecting with Hancock at the War Council. It's like that scene in the Notebook. They're all hugging. It's raining.
And Howard's standing in the rain behind them, like.
How was that guy in the Notebook? I should kick my own ass for seeing that movie, by the way.
You should.
But he's the other guy. Movie. The other guy who gets dumped. That's who Howard was.
Ryan Claiborne, let's arm the slaves, Hardy. Geez, mate, I don't think he meant to send that in a group chat.
That's a reply all fail right there.
That reply all fail. Where Claiborne's like types an email to everybody. Hey, I have a really good idea. Can we please meet about it? And then Hardy emails him back, well, what's the idea? And Claiborne just hits reply all and says, let's arm the slaves and free them.
YOLO. That's exactly what he probably would have done too. He was right though.
What, to arm? Oh yeah, he was. He had a
good
plan.
I'm not sure how many slaves would have fought for the Confederacy, but he was thinking
that's just it. But I mean, Claiborne's one of these ones that, and I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it when we do an episode about him, where he's not fully aware of the cause that they're fighting for. I don't think he completely understands it at all.
I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a reason why those slaves lined up to join the March to the Sea to get the hell out of there.
Well, as you said in the episode too, like this is the Northern, the Union Army, like especially the guys that were further and further removed from slaves in states like Mass, Maine. I'm not even going to say the full name of your state anymore because every time I do a kid, Massachusetts.
She did it good.
Good, a kitten didn't die.
Oh yeah, well, we had that intensive training, Mary, that afternoon. I gotta tweet that video someday if you teach you how to say medicine. I gotta do that. Such a bad video though.
More than 4 syllables, and I struggle.
That was like April or May, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was right after we started hanging out.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But no. I mean, I think it's the whole thing. And I think it's what I learned from the Sherman's March to the Sea thing was that I don't want to say it was a little overrated. I think it did a lot militarily. Not a lot of stuff happened beyond Griswoldville. And McAllister and stuff like that. Camp Lawton, that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really just scaring the hell out of everybody to get them to quit fighting, and it really worked. A lot of those guys.
Literally, he's like, make Georgia howl, right? Which, even though Sherman kind of downplays how he feels about the march in his memoirs, Andrea, but there were Black Confederates.
Oh yeah, go on to this, Andrea. You know what you and I need to do? We need to sign on to the Sons of Confederacy Facebook page and see how long we last.
The three of us need to do that.
You should, yeah. It'll be like one of those who could hold their breath the longest until we get banned.
Yeah.
Because I've gone on that, and I actually signed off for that some time ago just because it was a history one. But you want to talk about holy shit, Andrew? Honest to God, you'd Sons of Confederacy Facebook page. That's your homework assignment. Sign on to that.
Yeah,
we could all go.
Need to do that. Alec, hey, oh my God, can I come to watch?
Andrea, if you last 30 seconds, I'll be impressed. I mean, that will be the greatest thing.
I've gone on to those pages before, and I think there is one that I am banned from or got kicked off of or something a few years ago.
I'll tell you about.
Take them, infiltrating the shut your whore march shut your whore mouth weeks march to the sea was epic.
I'm talking about the military aspect, Andrea Lee Pike. I'm talking about not the overall impact, because it was impactful, but the military. There wasn't a lot. It wasn't like there was all these battles throughout, like Overland Campaign, where we had Spotsylvania and Cold Harbor. That's what I'm saying is there was pretty much battle free, but it was a social and psychological impact. So that is what I'm talking about.
But there still are battles, though, and that's one of the interesting things that you can go back and look at it again. Like you have Griswoldville in between Atlanta and Milledgeville, which is just Georgia militia. It's horrific. But then the other thing too that I find interesting, and I want to go back and read about them more, is just the cavalry engagements that take place, because there's that one where it was the one that they needed to open the road to Savannah, and it happened, and it was where Wheeler got spanked by Kilpatrick.
I think we need to do a takeover of that. Sounds like
we should.
Page.
Yeah.
I think. All right, fine. Keep running your mouth. We should all sign up for that and just hit them. And
5-0 Jared's General.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
Keep running your mouth, please. What am I running my mouth about?
Just the march to the sea, because you said you're like, is it underrated?
I mean, I'm saying militarily it was, because there wasn't a lot of strategic battles. I'm not talking about the overall impact. The overall impact was gigantic
in the war. Yeah.
Right. But there wasn't like I said before, there wasn't an overland campaign level battle every step along the way like Grant done. That's all I'm saying. Pike. Yes. Okay, so put that in your pike and smoke it. See what I did there?
I think the interesting thing about it, though, is just that like the cavalry stuff doesn't get talked about a lot, and it is kind of the key to getting to Savannah, especially once they leave Milledgeville. You know what I mean? And like Kilpatrick, like the knee-jerk reaction to him is like, oh, he was like, why would Sherman choose him? Well, why not? He does really well in Lee's retreat. He does a shitty job at July the 3rd, but on Lee's retreat, he does a good job, and he was exactly who Sherman needed at the time, and he does relatively well on the March to the Sea.
Well, that's why you got to read that book, that retreat book. It really puts a really good light on someone like him. And I get the whole Kill Cavalry nickname, and a lot of that comes from the Elon Farnsworth death and a lot of that. And he was aggressive. He was overly aggressive. I think they all wanted to be Forrest, I think.
They did.
I think they all did for different ways. But you can't deny what Kilpatrick did at the retreat and what he did on the march were really, really good. They just were.
Oh, they were. Everybody on the march was Howard, Slocum, Sherman, Kilpatrick. This is where they shine, especially for, somebody like Howard, Slocum, and Kilpatrick, who are coming to the Western Theater with tarnished reputations. This is their chance. And nobody looks at that part of it. Everybody, think about the march is everybody sees Sherman. And that's why I tweeted the other day on the anniversary of when they captured Savannah on the 21st, which the telegram was sent on the 22nd, which is the day we recorded.
Which is true. Some people get that wrong, by the way.
Well, they do. I'm not going to call people out for that, though. It's only a day. But that's why I tweeted that picture of, I said, there's 3 other guys that are doing this, and Sherman couldn't have done it without him. And it's Howard, Slocum, and Kilpatrick.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's so funny how certain singular aspects of people's careers, the ones that get blown up out of proportion, right?
Yeah.
Like you talked a lot about Howard. We've talked about him a million times now. But obviously, whether it be good or bad, but especially bad, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the littlest things are, and Kilpatrick's one of them.
Yep.
And he made mistakes like they all did, but he redeemed himself a lot. What he did at Monterey Pass was really, really was a real thing. And he really, he set the stage for Meade to really counterattack at Gettysburg if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
But again, you couldn't risk it. You just couldn't do it, especially someone new to command like that. It just he thought he was playing it into Lee's hands, and he probably would have been.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It all worked out. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Things happen for a reason there, and that's the way life is.
Exactly. And I know we're going to sign off here soon, but one more question. Ryan asks, he says it's a controversial view. What's the difference between Franklin and Cold Harbor other than Grant had enough men to have a massive off day?
I think the biggest thing, well, it's Grant versus Hood, but I think the Cold Harbor thing, why that was big was the Overland campaign was the first time where a Union general didn't fight and then retreat and then fight and retreat. He kept fighting and pushing and pushing and pushing. And they lost, 7,500 guys in the first 15, 20 minutes of Cold Harbor attacking that front. But I think it was an aggressive style. Now Grant does get killed for it. He does get that Butcher nickname. But he's the first general who doesn't fight and then back off and then reform and then fight. He fights and fights and he puts Lee on his heels. And I think it's that aggressiveness thing versus Franklin was just a complete folly on Hood's part. And I think a lot of people realize that by the time Franklin happened, that war was basically over. And it was a final time. It's like, if you think about like a boxing match with Grant, where they're fighting and fighting. And finally at the end, think of like a Rocky movie or think of Tyson fighting, where he's finally fighting and the guy's getting wobbly, and instead of backing off, he just keeps going in and going in, and the crowds go wild. He's pushing him back. That's what Grant was doing. So I think a lot of the casualties at that point were kind of looked beyond, because he was finally a guy who was not backing off to Lee. He kept pushing. He kept forcing Lee back the way Sherman kept pushing guys like Johnston back, say, in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. But that's a good point, though. It's just, but I think that's a national memory. I think that's why. Yeah.
Jake was waiting for you to make a comment on Fort Fisher so he can make an office reference. And Allie B regarding Overland and Franklin. I would think Grant was able to continue to go on and able to pin down Lee for the rest of the war. Yeah, just as what you said. Like, he's just like Grant and Sherman's thing seems to be like push them back, push them back, push them back. But the problem with like Sherman pushing back Johnston is Johnston would have let the clock run down. You know what I mean?
think so.
And then Davis gets impatient and says, like, Hood, go do it.
We'll talk about Fort Fisher, especially when we talk about the Carolina campaign. We'll talk about that stuff with that. But I think that's what it was. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's just what we think. It's just to think logically about some of this stuff.
It's awesome to discuss it. Like, I mean, I'm learning so much from not just doing this podcast, but these Facebook Lives every Saturday too. Like, they're a great learning experience and they're fun. Like, the text message thing is still something I consider to be learning about history, because you're looking at these situations and putting it in modern terms, which sometimes helps people learn the history a little bit better, you know?
Well, I know people who think Cold Harbor was a Navy battle because it was a harbor, so. Seriously, I think it's like Hampton Roads 2.0 or something. It's unbelievable.
Allie B says, check out the Gordon Rea Cold Harbor book. It dispels some myths about Cold Harbor. It's more than that one day. They were at Cold Harbor for a lot longer than what people think. Yeah, it's Chickamauga's that way too. It's not just 2 days. What beer are you on?
Oh, this is a Knockabout Cookies and Milk IPA Christmas one. Holy God, Mary, this is
I know. Because you keep tagging me in it when you go there, and I can't have access to it. Yeah,
it's good. It's good though. Cookies and Milk IPA.
There you go. This.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Rolling Hills. We haven't mentioned Undulations today. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's shockingly Cold Harbor was not to do with the harbor, nor was it cold. So, ironically. And last, you know what I heard, Mary, too? The tavern wasn't yellow. That's the other thing I can't believe. Wow. I can't believe it.
Canadian flag should be flown from there. Is that where Jeb Stuart was killed?
Yes. Oh, because the Canadian
killed by Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell are you talking What are you talking about? Like, what?
That's what we need to do. We need to go to Yellow Tavern. I need to bring a Canadian flag and just hold it out there.
This is so good. Oh my God. We're going to get a picture of your ass in front of Yellow Tower with the big Canadian flag. No one will know what the
That's
friggin'
what I
means.
just said.
I know what I'm saying. But we got to take it over to Garrett Farm, too, and jump that friggin' illegal
Oh,
fence.
yeah, with the Canadian flag there, too.
So the 6th Lincoln's Avengers, the 16th New York, you hold that flag with your little...
Yeah, because Doherty.
Of course, you're so small, the flag will take your whole... I'll have to hold the flag because you're 3'9". The flag isn't exactly...
For the record, I'm Phil Sheridan's height.
Okay, sure. Go with that.
And Christopher said, really, I'm wondering if it's in regards to Jeb Stewart. Yeah, so he was killed by the Canadian. Jonathan's got to go. Have a happy New Year. Yeah, we actually have to take off soon too. In a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're going to jump here in a second. This is obviously a great. This is so much fun doing this. This is
I love it.
Doing this.
Ryan's got to jump off too because he's having a giant board of meat and cheese, which she who must be obeyed. Good night, Colonials, and Happy New Year to you all. I look forward to joining you soon for RebTube's newest episode of the Bang Barn Black. Mercy.
Yeah, Ryan, make sure you Google RedTube Bang Barn and Google and see what the hell comes up. I'm sure that'll be a good one. But hey, next time we do this, right, I'll definitely have some of that red breast here. We'll do that.
Maybe I'll have some bourbon.
I'll do
some bourbon next Saturday.
I'll do a picture and tag them on Twitter, Facebook. We'll do that. So.
Yeah, I'll start off with bourbon. Let's start off with bourbon next Saturday.
Because that's what we need is me Porky Pig and running through the neighborhood here. That's a good idea. Ooh. Singing Lorraine at the top of my lungs, yelling. Get on the table, get on the chair.
Well, guys, this was awesome today, as always. We've got 19 people they're on right
Hampton,
now. Awesome.
Yeah, Hampton wasn't a road, Jacob. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
It's so funny.
Yep. Happy New Year's, Christopher.
And you know what? The war wasn't about slavery either, Mary. So many ironic things about this.
And Howard didn't fuck up at Chancellorsville.
Hampton wasn't a road. Cold wasn't a harbor. The tavern wasn't yellow. The war wasn't about slavery.
First Corps broke first. That's the truth.
Well, that's a fact, though. I mean, you knew Cutler's guys broke first. That's just a fact.
I'm getting that in a T-shirt.
Next live will be 2021, Allie. You're absolutely right.
Yes,
so
yeah. So we will actually see you guys next year. We're definitely going to be back here next Saturday. So
see you next year.
Yeah. Check out our new website, which is civilwarbreakfastclub.com. We're going to definitely try and make it as interactive as possible. Happy New Year, Paul. And bye, Mike. Thank you for stopping by. Happy New Year. We will definitely be here next week. It's the same time, same place.
So we are talking about Stones River, Murfreesboro. So we obviously.
I was just going to say, no, we're talking about Murfreesboro, not Stones River.
You know what? You can put that on me, but you didn't know it was the same thing a week or so ago, but it's okay. But we're going to, yes, it's true. You go, let's talk about Stones River. And I go, how about we do Murfreesboro instead? You go, all right, well, are you sure? I want to do Stones River. So, freaking Civil War fan. Go, okay, whatever. But we're going to do what? We're going to do that. We're going to talk a lot about Rosecrans again. We'll talk about him. We're going to talk about Bragg. We're going to talk about that. So Jill will be excited to talk about that. So we'll have fun doing that. So we'll drop that on. We're going to record that on Tuesday.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Drop on Saturday as usual. And then we will be having our usual Facebook Live. Just my boss knows I hate see you next year every year.
God, that's so funny. I remember that.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Lori, and to Allie B. You guys are all awesome. Thanks for making, I guess we've been at this for 5 months now.
It's been a while. But everyone have a great look. Look, 2020, as shitty as it was, there is always a silver lining. And 2021 is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot of fun doing this. And we love doing this. We stumbled upon this. This was a whim over beers. Let's try to do this and see what happens. And we've had a lot of fun with it. And I know we've met all you really, really awesome, cool people. I've always said the Civil War people are the smartest people, and you guys have just proven all that.
Yeah, I just want to say here, he is the best podcasting partner ever. He is the most intelligent person I know in the Civil War.
She just likes my flag. No, look, I know. I've said the same thing to you, Mary. You're the one I measure myself against this knowledge shit. You know that. But the reality is 2021 will be a lot of fun. We got some cool stuff going. So we got the book club coming down the pike.
Yep.
I don't mean Andrea. And we'll have a lot of fun stuff coming. So anyway, have a great rest of the weekend, and hope you had a great Christmas. And hopefully if your Christmas is spilling over the entire weekend, that you can enjoy the rest of it. Stay safe. Hopefully, Jim, you guys in Tennessee, hopefully you guys can figure out this whole bombing bullshit. Hopefully this you guys all stay safe with this crap, and that's ridiculous. I love Nashville, and it sucks to see. So,
and just before I go, Scott mentioned something. 88 acres were just saved at Stones River by bat.
I saw that.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to mention that at the episode too.
And just, I don't want to spill the beans, Mary. Okay, but in January we're going to talk about something we're going to do with the ABT that is going to benefit people.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to do a little thing with the American Battlefield Trust. And we're going to talk about that. So I promise that everyone will appreciate that. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, everybody, thank you for stopping by, and thank you for your support with this podcast since we started back in late August. It's been awesome meeting all of you, and you have definitely all become friends. And hopefully we can all hang out in 2021 sometime together. So
definitely road trip somewhere. We'll definitely
thank you to Darren for putting up with my shenanigans all this time.
Don't call me St. Darren for nothing. I'm just kidding. No, it is awesome. So you are the best, though. This is great to do this with you. So
thank you.
Anyway, so everyone have a great weekend. We're going to sign off now. So definitely check. We're going to tweet those books that we talked about tonight. So definitely get them if you can, and we will definitely look forward to talking to you next year, Mary. Yep. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you at some point later on, and we'll definitely look forward to everybody. So again, thanks for signing on, everybody. Enjoying our podcast. Listen to the podcast if you haven't yet. We had a lot of fun recording that. Yeah, that was a good one. And really poor Savannah, Mary.
Poor Savannah.
It's okay. She'll have to walk it off.
Yeah.
So
anyway, guys, have an awesome Saturday, and we will see you again in 1 week.
All right. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. See ya. Clear.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording now. Bye, guys.
Yeah. There you go.